Hello and welcome to Chinese Novel Audiobook. Explore our playlist for more captivating novels, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new audiobook. Now, let's dive into today's story. Chapter 61 Master is famous. Actually, Yi Chubai was able to kill Tian Pin because of many factors. First, Tian Pin himself underestimated the enemy too much. Second, no one would have thought of this sword. Third, the way of the sword contained in the Qingyun sword does not exist in this world where the way of heaven has collapsed. So it also led to the defeat of Tian Pin and fall. However, in the eyes of many people, Yi Chubai is only a person at the early stage of Qixi realm. Even if there is no genius in a million, it is just a genius that has not yet grown up. And what about Tian Pin? In the middle of Qianyuan realm, ranked 29th on the 4 regions martial arts list, is the famous and powerful man in the Northern Territory, and even in the 4 territories. Such a gap exists like a horizontal rift. To be beheaded by a person in the Qixi realm. Then, what happens after Yi Chubai reaches Qianyuan realm? How far will his actual strength rise? No one can imagine. No one dares to think about it. Now, after Yi Chubai pulled out the Qingyun sword, he has already suffered a strong backlash. Aura is exhausted, without a trace. Just like that, slowly falling from midair. The 6th prince and Fan Jinggrao watched this scene, and chose to do it at this moment without hesitation. Kill Yi Chubai with the momentum of thunder. Kill this kind of arrogance in the cradle. Otherwise, when Yi Chubai grows up, they will suffer. The ancestor of the Yi family watched this scene, but was powerless to stop it. The power of the ancestors has dissipated, and now, he has also entered a state of backlash. There is no way to stop Fan Jinggrao. He could only watch helplessly as the imperial guards and Fan Jinggrao rushed towards Yi Chubai. Is this the end? It is a pity that such a proud man fell like this. Yi family, I am afraid that they will also be removed from Tianyuan city. Just when the ancestor thought so. Silver light flashes. Yi Chubai's body suddenly disappeared. Everyone was taken aback. The 6th prince was even more flustered. This made Yi Chubai run away. Then it will be difficult to kill him later. With the strength of their Tianyuan dynasty, they want to go to the Tibetan Taoist Academy to become important. This is just a dream. But, when Yi Chubai grows up, this is nothing more than slow death. Thinking of this, the 6th prince panicked. Fan Jinggrao also didn't react. Who is it that can rescue people silently under his nose? The only ones who can do this are the top 10 in the martial arts list. But who are the top 10 people on the martial arts list who have friendship with Yi Chubai? Fan Jinggrao thought about it. Only one person. The number 1 swordsman in the Northern Territory, Yunjing. Only he could save Yi Chubai without being noticed by Fan Jinggrao. Fan Gongfeng, what should we do now? The 6th prince looked anxious. Seeing this, Fan Jinggrao had undisguised contempt in his eyes, and said indifferently, "Don't worry, go back to the palace first." The 6th prince naturally also saw Fan Jinggrao's attitude, but he couldn't say anything to the strong ones on the martial arts list. A group of people returned to the palace. If Yi Chubai was here, he would be able to recognize it. The eldest prince Huang Tianming is impressively in this palace. Huang Tianming took a sip of his tea lightly, saw several people returning in a state of distress, and asked, "Failed?" There doesn't seem to be any surprise in the tone. It seems to be expected. Fan Jinggrao nodded and said, "That's right, Tian Pinjan died." Oh. This was something Huang Tianming didn't expect. Tian Pin, as a strong man in the martial arts list, will be killed. But it's okay. Huang Tianming put down his teacup, showed an inexplicable smile, looked at Fan Jinggrao and said, "You said, Yi Chubai killed my dynasty's enshrined, shouldn't our dynasty be punished?" Fan Jinggrao was taken aback, then nodded. Huang Tianming stood up and continued, "The Tibetan Taoist Academy also said that there is only one word Li in the world. I asked them to hand over Yi Chubai, shouldn't it be too much?" Quote. Fan Jinggrao suddenly felt a chill down his spine. He already guessed Huang Tianming's intention. Before, Huang Tianming only asked him to go to Yi's house with Wada to guard Yi Chubai. But they didn't send out all the power they brought over, obviously, it was also for this point. After all, Yi Chubai is a student of Tibetan Taoist Academy. Before, it even got the support of Beiyou Tibetan Taoist Academy. Once Yi Chubai is killed without reason, it will be troublesome for the Tibetan Taoist Academy. It may attract the attention of the Central Academy of Sciences. This may cause great losses to the Sunset Dynasty. Now, Yi Chubai has killed the court priest, so there is a reason. Master is famous. Huang Tianming planned to use Tian Pin's death to make a fuss. Huang Tianming clapped his hands and said, "Okay, let's go." Everyone is heading towards the southern region Tibetan Taoist Academy. After finishing speaking, he bowed slightly to the Tianyuan lord who was sitting at the top, and said, "I'm bothering the lord." The lord of Tianyuan stared at Huang Tianming and sighed secretly. This child is very scheming. And there is a cruel heart that treats everything as a dog. With this son, I am afraid that the Sunset Dynasty will continue to be brilliant. Thinking of this, Lord Tianyuan said, "Take the imperial guards there." At this moment, the Lord of Tianyuan has decided to tie himself to the same rope as the Sunset Dynasty. Huang Tianming was also happy to see this scene, and said with a smile, "Then I would like to thank the king." The other side. Yunming took Yi Chubai back to the thatched cottage. That's right, it was Yunming who saved Yi Chubai before. In fact, he has been in the dark. As for why he didn't make a move, that was to squeeze Yi Chubai's potential in the Jedi of life and death. Yi Chubai's unleashed potential obviously shocked Yunming. Qihai realm kills Qianyuan realm. Although it is a trick, it is still strength. Lu Changsheng walked over, the relaxed expression on his face was gone. With streaks of anger, he asked in a deep voice, "What happened?" At this time, the aura of red cherry broke out and broke through to the Qianyuan realm. Awakened from the realm of heaven and man. Seeing Yi Chubai's appearance, he also walked over with murderous intent in his eyes. "Who did it?" His Majesty asked. Yunming immediately explained the process of the matter. Lu Changsheng glanced at it and understood Yi Chubai's condition. Forcibly pulling out the backlash of the Qingyun sword, the aura was exhausted and he fell into a coma. It's not a big problem. Touched 2 pills from Naji and stuffed them into Yi Chubai's mouth. Immediately pointing out with his finger, an endless force enveloped Yi Chubai. Is repairing his body. Red Sakura was startled when she saw this scene. Yunming also exclaimed, "The power of life. To be precise, it is the way of life." Soon, Yi Chubai's body recovered to its original state, and now he just needs to wake up. Hong Ying held a spear and said coldly, "I'll go to the Tianyuan dynasty first." "Wait, no need to go." Looking at the sky, Lu Changsheng said calmly, "They've already arrived." The sky in the distance. There are a series of black armored forbidden troops coming. After the forbidden army, there are 2 ships pulled by dragons. Qin Tianan and a group of elders also appeared in midair. I don't know what the eldest prince is talking about when he comes to our Tibetan Taoist Academy. Chapter 62 Red Cherry Shoots. With Qin Tianan's current strength, he can naturally feel how terrifying the lineup of the Sunset Dynasty is. Among them, there are 3 strongmen on the 4 regions martial arts list. Among them are Fan Jinggrao, who is ranked 27th, and Gao Weian, who is ranked 31st. The last one, even Qin Tianan, is not an opponent. It was Eunuch Ming who ranked 7th. At the forefront, there is the Imperial Palace Imperial Army of the Tianyuan dynasty. With such a lineup, even Qin Tianan felt his scalp tingle when he looked at it. At this time, Huang Tianming stood on the dragon head of the ship. The voice came out loudly. Is questioning. Dean Qin, a student of your academy, Yi Chubai, beheaded Tian Pin in Tianyuan city to enshrine my Sunset Dynasty. I came here to arrest the prisoner and sent him to my Sunset Dynasty. Qin Tianan's expression darkened. Captured the Sunset Dynasty, does Yi Chubai still have hope of survival? And Yi Chubai has made great contributions to the Tibetan Taoist Academy, how could he hand it over? But I couldn't believe it in my heart. Yi Chubai has just entered the Qixi realm, how can he kill the people in the 4 regions martial ranking? Besides, the elder of Jiantang looked serious, and said in a deep voice, how could Yi Chubai be able to kill Tian Pin? Could it be that His Royal Highness is imposing an unwarranted charge on Yi Chubai? On one side, Eunuch Ming shouted sharply, presumptuous. How noble is the prince, how can he deceive you? Fan Jinggrao also nodded and said, I was by the side at the time and saw it with my own eyes. The elders of Changsheng wanted to continue arguing, but Qin Tianan stopped him with his hand. Qin Tianan understands. Now it doesn't matter whether Yi Chubai killed Tianpin or not. They just want to find a reason. A reason to take Yi Chubai away. As for this reason, Qin Tianan had no evidence to refute it, so he could only say, this matter needs to be verified, so everyone, please go back and discuss it if it is true. Huang Tianming shook his head and said, this is not acceptable, Tianpin is enshrined by my Sunset Dynasty. If you don't give me an explanation, who else will be willing to work for my Sunset Dynasty in the future? Quote. Hearing this, Eunuch Ming nodded in satisfaction. Reasonable and well-founded, not surprised by changes. The eldest prince is more and more like the lord of a country. Qin Tianan shook his head and said, I can't hand Yi Chubai over to you. If a student can't keep it, Zhang Dao Academy will go into decline. What's more, with Yi Chubai's talent, he will become a sword master in the future. What's more, his master is Lu Changsheng. Although there is no regular job on weekdays. But even he couldn't see through Lu Changsheng. Before, he only thought that Lu Changsheng was really low in cultivation and lacking in talent, and he was just a person waiting to die. Treat him as the son of the descendants and keep him safe for the rest of his life. Now, Lu Changsheng has taught Yi Chubai, Hong Ying, such monsters. How could it be that they don't know how to practice? Then start a war. Huang Tianming's face was gloomy, but there was a smile in his eyes. Obviously, the scheme has succeeded. The elder Wutang has the hottest temper. Beside Qin Tianan, he shouted loudly, Yi Chubai must never hand it over. The elders of Jiantang knew Yi Chubai's talent very well, so he nodded in agreement and said, that's right, the big deal is a battle. The elder Confucian president's face was calm, and he also agreed. I have a Taoist academy, so I'm not afraid of other people. Seeing that their opinions were unified, Qin Tianan nodded and said, okay, then let's fight. Then he looked at the elders of the formation hall. Seeing this, the elders of Jiantang understood what Qin Tianan meant, turned around and rushed towards the academy. Seeing Qin Tianan and the others' auras rising, Huang Tianming smiled and said, I hope you won't regret it. After finishing speaking, Fan Jinggrao came directly in front of Qin Tianan. Said solemnly, we didn't decide the winner before, now, let me see why you rank higher than me. Qin Tianan smiled sassily, you will know. After finishing speaking, the two flew directly towards the sky. Here is a battlefield, it will hurt others. At this time, Yao Huayan also came to the elders of the Jiantang. Elder Jiantang looked at Elder Wutang. These elders are all at the peak of Shuiyijing. Only the elders of the Confucian Academy are half-step Qianyuan. It can be said that fighting alone is no match for this person in front of you. Yao Huayan smiled lightly and said, you can go up together, otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to hold me back. Seeing this, several elders could only nod their heads. Now, the opponent still has a 7th-ranked Mingonggong left. This is the biggest hidden danger for the enemy. Even Qin Tianan is no match for him. Sudden. In the depths of the academy, a beam of light flew out. Fell among the crowd. This person is an old man. He already has the spirit of old age. All the elders bowed immediately. Eunuch Ming laughed and said, Yang Shu, are you still alive? Yang Shu is the supreme elder of the Southern Tibetan Academy of Taoism. He is also the strongest person in the southern region, ranking 13th in the 4 regions martial arts list. Yang Shu lowered his eyebrows, as if he was about to close his eyes. Bowing his body like an old man, he said weakly, I have to protect the academy again. Yang Shu originally planned to retreat to death at the end. If the mirror is broken, you can live some more days. No, the body dies and the Tao disappears. However, now that the Tibetan Taoist Academy is in trouble, he has no choice but to give up the closed door. Come to do one last job for Nanyu Tibetan Taoist Academy. Because he knows, it is considered a closed door. Most of them are also dead. Eunuch Ming sneered and said, I'm afraid you are not my opponent. The voice just fell. The college is surrounded by array flags. Gradually, a huge killing formation formed. This is the academy's nursing formation. Eunuch Ming shook his head and said, in this case, you can only receive 2 blows from me. In the 4 domains martial arts list, 10th place is a watershed. The people in front are getting stronger and stronger. One formation is probably not enough. Yangshu also understands, but now he can only do his best. Huang Tianming smiled and said, I'm afraid, now I can only hand over Yi Chubai. Otherwise, your non-Yu Tibetan Taoist Academy may have to be replaced by someone else. Quote. Then what about me? At this moment, a woman holding a spear appeared in front of eunuch Ming. Chapter 63 Huang Tianming's Regret. Lu Changsheng wanted to make a move. The disciple was bullied to the door, how could he have no temper at all? Immediately, I want to directly activate the Jiuyou Wangquan formation. But was stopped by Hongying. These people don't need master's help. After finishing speaking, he held a spear and rushed towards the setting Sun dynasty. Yunming nodded to Lu Changsheng, and also followed. The elders of Jiantang naturally knew Hongying. Seeing this, she couldn't help frowning and said, Hongying, you should step back quickly. Elder Wutang even said, don't be impulsive, the opponent is the top 10 in the martial arts list, you are not the opponent. Yangshu on one side also understood after hearing these words. The young woman in front of me is a student of the academy. Yangshu also said with emotion, it is a blessing for the academy to have students like you who are not afraid of life and death. However, it's not your turn to die now, so let's step back for now. Quote. Eunuch Ming laughed sharply when he saw this. When did the students of the Southern Region Tibetan Taoist Academy become so courageous? But, Eunuch Ming narrowed his eyes, and said coldly, if you show fearless courage, you may die at any time. Judging from the words of the elders of the Jiantang, Hongying is just a student. Eunuch Ming doesn't think that how strong a student can be. Not to mention a wild place like the southern region. This is not to underestimate the enemy. Yi Chubai said. It is a deep-rooted view of the southern region for a long time. The same is true. Yunming was furious when he heard the words, and wanted to make a move, but Hongying shook his head. He gave it to me. Yunming was not surprised when he saw this. After all, His Majesty is also an extremely protective person. After all, the aura of Qianyuan realm is undoubtedly revealed. Seeing this scene, all the elders of the hall were stunned for a moment, their eyes showing disbelief. Qianyuan realm. This has surpassed the elders. Hongying's strength is so strong. Qin Tianan in the sky saw this scene, and his eyes were also surprised. Among Lu Changsheng's disciples, Yi Chubai is already quite a genius. I didn't expect Hongying to be so evil now. Eunuch Ming was shocked when he saw this. Qianyuan realm. One student has reached Qianyuan realm. Even in his northern territory, there is no such evildoer. I am afraid that only the central territory can produce such talented and evil people. Hongying held a long spear, looked at the slightly dazed elders and Yangshu behind him, and said, leave this man to me, and you will wipe out those imperial guards. After speaking, without waiting for the elders to respond, the spears had already swept out towards Eunuch Ming. For a while, there was a gust of wind. Where the spear passed, there was a whistling sound. Eunuch Ming snorted coldly. Even if you have reached the Qianyuan realm, so what? He is the seventh existence in the four regions martial arts list. He is also a strong man in the late Qianyuan stage. No matter how evil he is only in the early stage of Qianyuan realm. When you reach the Qianyuan realm, the gap between each small realm is like a horizontal ditch. How could he be his opponent? However, when the spear swept across and came into contact with Eunuch Ming's whisk, Eunuch Ming suddenly shrank his pupils. On Hongying's long spear, he actually felt a destructive gun-like mood. Not only that, but on top of it, there is also a blessing of artistic conception. This is the power of reincarnation. Reincarnation artistic conception. On the rear ship, Huang Tianming also looked extremely gloomy when he saw this. Two moods. And it's not that ordinary artistic conception. She even possesses the Qianyuan realm. According to the other party, Yi Chubai is her senior brother. Then, how defiant should their master be? Suddenly, Huang Tianming regretted provoking Yi Chubai. At this moment, Lu Changsheng was not far away, with his hands behind his back, watching this scene with no expression on his face. He is not worried about Hongying's strength. After all, she is the reincarnated empress. Such a decisive shot must be sure. At this time, Yi Chubai also slowly woke up. Master. Feeling a wave of violent aura, I couldn't help but look over. Then it was discovered that Hongying and eunuch Ming were fighting together. Yi Chubai looked at Lu Changsheng, and asked with a serious face, Master, did the Sunset Dynasty find this place? Lu Changsheng nodded, then turned to look at Yi Chubai. I'll give you two options. First, I'll help you solve the Sunset Dynasty. Second, leave it to yourself. Provocations over and over again. Now they are calling at the door of the house again. Even Lu Changsheng couldn't bear it. As for whether it can be solved, you will know when you go. The big deal is to move the 9 nether yellow spring formation there. Lu Shu said that this is an ancient killing formation. A mere Sunset Dynasty, can it resist the ancient killing array? Yi Chubai thought for a while, looked at the figures fighting together in front of him, and couldn't help laughing. Master, let me do it myself. It won't be long before I will be able to bring down the Sunset Dynasty. Lu Changsheng glanced at Yi Chubai, not surprised. Obviously, Yi Chubai regards the Sunset Dynasty as his whetstone. At this moment, the long spear in Hongying's hand has streaks of flames like moss, climbing up. The heat waves are like seas of fire, howling in this space. Fire artistic conception. The third artistic conception. Eunuch Ming's eyes couldn't be more surprised. 3 artistic conceptions, what kind of concept is this? When they reach their level, they usually focus on one artistic conception. The second type. No one dares to think. The long spear in Hongying's hand turned into a flaming giant gun. Aura runs through this space. The flames made the whole sky red. As a result, in the distance, some students looked at the sky, and it was all red. Xin Hongyi also saw this scene, and bit her thin lips involuntarily. She remembered the time when she entered the Tibetan Taoist Academy. I feel that it is Lu Changsheng's loss for not accepting himself as a disciple. Now it seems that it is obviously just a self-righteous idea. At this moment, Hongying turned into a flaming goddess of war, suspended in the sky, with her right hand raised high, holding the huge flaming gun. With a low shout, he waved towards eunuch Ming. Suddenly, the giant flaming gun cut through the space, holding a fiery red tail flame. Slammed down towards eunuch Ming. Eunuch Ming's eyes changed, and the aura in it made him feel extremely oppressed. It seems to be suppressed. Eunuch Ming didn't dare to underestimate him, he shouted sharply, and the whisk in his hand turned into 3,000 white silks, and surrounded him with the giant flaming gun. However, those white silk whiskers were burned to death by the surrounding flames before they touched the giant flame gun. Eunuch Ming's expression changed. Immediately throw the whisk forward. The giant gun directly destroyed the whisk. However, when the whisk was destroyed, it turned into a formation. Suddenly, white silk covered the sky and covered the giant gun. This whisk was obtained by Ming Gonggong from the ancient secret realm. The grade is unknown. But the formation engraved in it is something that even the king of the Sunset Dynasty cannot penetrate. Today, whisks self-destruct. The formation exploded. Finally stopped the giant flaming gun. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 64 Retreat. Eunuch Ming felt extremely heartbroken seeing Fuqian destroyed. This is the most valuable thing in his hands. Without this whisk, I am afraid that eunuch Ming's strength will drop a lot. Huang Tianming looked at this scene with a gloomy expression. Hongying's strength can be said to have exceeded his expectations. He was 100% sure that he brought eunuch Ming here. After all, in the southern region Tibetan Taoist Academy, the strongest person is this Yang Shu. The strength is not the opponent of Ming Gonggong. How did he expect that another Hongying would come out? In the rear, the elders of all the halls looked surprised. It was also the first time for them to see Hongying showing her strength. Originally, the cultivation base of Qianyuan realm had already surprised them extremely. However, with the strength of the early Qianyuan realm, how can you suppress Ming Gonggong, a top 10 person in the 4 regions martial arts list, and a strong man in the late Qianyuan realm? It can be said that it is something they have never heard of. Yang Shu also nodded when he saw this, and said with emotion, it is true that young people come out of blue. In our college, with this student, the rise is inevitable. Immediately, Yang Shu turned his head, looked at the elder of Jiantang, and asked, who is her master? The elder of Jiantang was taken aback for a moment, and then replied, Kaotang, Lu Changsheng. Thatched cottage. Yang Shu's thoughts seemed to return to a long time ago, and then suddenly said, People from the thatched cottage, that's no wonder. At this moment, Yi Chubai also flew to Hongying's side. Hongying didn't turn her head, and said with a smile, recovery. Yi Chubai nodded and said, okay, thank you, junior sister, for letting me out. Hongying shook her head, with a chilling expression on her face, someone has bullied you at the door, so naturally you have to take action. Then this eunuch Ming will be handed over to you. Hongying nodded. After speaking, Yi Chubai rushed towards Huang Tianming with his sword. Through repeated plots, Yi Chubai has become really angry. Seeing this, Huang Tianming snorted coldly, and went up to meet him without evasion or retreat. The late-stage cultivation of Qi realm is undoubtedly revealed. He is the prince, how could he back down at this time? Now, the imperial guards are massacred by the elders of various halls. And the worship in the palace was held back by other people. Now there is no one around Huang Tianming. This is also an opportunity. Yi Chubai didn't hold back at all, and his sword intent soared into the sky. The sword gasified into a huge sword, and suddenly slashed towards Huang Tianming. Huang Tianming snorted coldly, and punched out. There is a kingly air on the fist print, sweeping towards the giant swords. Yi Chubai let out a low cry, and the monstrous devilish energy covered the dark magic sword. Heavenly Demon 9 Swords. Sixth Sword. Under Huang Tianming's gloomy face, the fist imprint shattered as if he had no resistance at all. When Yi Chubai's sword approached him, Huang Tianming suddenly laughed. Seeing this, Yi Chubai frowned slightly, and then his face changed. Next too, a dark light flashed, shooting towards Yi Chubai's back. It's Shadow Killer. Shadow Kill. If you don't make a move, you're done. If you make a move, you will kill. I searched for many opportunities, and now, I finally made a move. However, the dagger disappeared before it landed in front of Yi Chubai. Huang Tianming frowned. What happens? Who made the move? Yi Chubai couldn't help being taken aback when he saw this, and then he reacted. Is master. And in the thatched cottage. Lu Changsheng has already set up an enchantment, and outsiders cannot detect the internal scene. At this moment, in front of Lu Changsheng, there is a man dressed in black. The man looked at Lu Changsheng and said in horror, "Who are you?" The force just now seemed to pass through the space and grabbed it. There is no chance of resistance. This kind of strength is too terrifying. Lu Changsheng stared at the man and said, "Tell me, who are you and what power do you come from?" Having said that, he shook his head again. Forget it, let's search for the soul, I think you can't say it. Speak. Under the terrified eyes of the man, Lu Changsheng's hand fell directly on top of the man in black. Suddenly, the man's soul came out from the sky cap. That soul's face is full of fear and pain. Soul search. It will directly make the soul fly away. Cannot enter reincarnation. The man's soul kept roaring. I say. Lu Changsheng ignored it and continued to search for the soul. One piece of information fell into Lu Changsheng's sea of consciousness. Not too long. The soul of the man is completely dissipated. Lu Changsheng looked down at the man in black who was out of breath, shook his head and sighed. Why didn't you say it sooner? Why didn't you say it earlier? The birds on the side saw this, their eyes were full of helplessness. Did you give others a chance to talk about it? Shadow Killer. Lu Changsheng looked in the direction of Beiyu, chuckled, and said, then go and have a look. After finishing speaking, he disappeared in place. As for the situation here, there is no need to worry at all. The battle situation has been completely reversed. Hongying fought against Eunuch Ming. Eunuch Ming could only passively parry. Reincarnation marksmanship almost caused Eunuch Ming to fall several times. Yi Chubai fought with Huang Tianming. Although his combat strength is not high, his cultivation base is also unstable. Obviously he rushed up by relying on the pill. However, there are many magic weapons to save life. And the forbidden army in the palace was completely slaughtered at this moment. Huang Tianming saw that the situation was not good, so he shouted with a sullen face, retreat. The court worshippers all stopped and returned to Huang Tianming's side. Qin Tianan and others did not pursue them either. Although they can hold each other down, they cannot kill them. After all, they are all equal in strength. Huang Tianming looked at Qin Tianan with an ugly face and said, your Tibetan Taoism Academy is very good. Qin Tianan smiled sarcastically, and said, "Thank you for your compliment, First Prince. It is naturally very good to have such a student." Hearing this, Huang Tianming's energy and blood surged. Then he turned his head, glanced at Yi Chubai, and said in a deep voice, "I hope you will never leave the Tibetan Taoist Academy." After speaking, Huang Tianming stepped onto the ship, and the group left the Tibetan Taoist Academy. Yi Chubai turned around, cupped his fists towards Qin Tianan and the others, and thanked Qin Tianan and the others. "Thank you, Dean and all the elders." Qin Tianan stepped forward, smiled and patted Yi Chubai's shoulder. "You don't need to thank you. Since you are a member of the academy, you must not be handed over to the enemy. It's you, Hongying, your strength really opened my eyes." When Hongying heard the words, she just smiled and returned to the thatched cottage. Qin Tianan didn't care either. He had seen Hongying being extremely indifferent to other people. At this time, Yangshu also smiled, and said, "Now, I can rest assured that I am close to death. There is such a disciple in the academy, so why worry about it?" Qin Tianan sighed. "Old Yang, how sure are you?" Yangshu shook his head and said, 10%. When everyone heard the words, they all looked sad. 10%. This is a death sentence. At this moment, a streak of light flew over. Yangshu took it subconsciously, opened it and saw that it was a pill. Chapter 65. Do you think I am blind? A pill. Yangshu looked at the exquisite pill patterns and the simple atmosphere in them. Then you can know that the rank of this elixir is definitely not low. But, what surprised Yangshu was, he couldn't even recognize what this elixir was. At this time, Hongying's voice came from the thatched cottage. "This is the Poyuan pill, which can be used by people in the Qianyuan realm to break the realm. It can reach 100% breakthrough, but after that, it cannot be refined again." Hearing this, Yangshu was shocked. Can people in Qianyuan realm break through the realm 100%? Although it is a small realm, you must know that even a small realm in the Qianyuan realm is extremely difficult to cross. How many people spend their entire lives without breaking through? Although it is said that there will be no breakthrough in the future, but with Yangshu's situation, can there be a future? So, this elixir is extremely precious to Yangshu. Qin Tianan asked in surprise, "Hongying, this elixir is so precious, where did it come from?" Hongying didn't even think about it, so she said, "It belongs to Master." Longevity. Elder Dantang was short of breath, and hurriedly asked, "Can Lu Changsheng refine this elixir?" This elixir, even if he came to refine it himself, or maybe give him the elixir formula, he couldn't make it out. This elixir is at least an earth-level elixir. And the quality is extremely good, there is no impurity on the Dan grain. Where is Lu Changsheng now? Hongying was also surprised, and said, "Master is not in the thatched cottage right now." "Then Lu Changsheng is back, you must notify me." Yi Chubai looked at Hongying with a strange expression, and said, "Junior sister, are you pushing Master away like this? You know the character of Master." Quote. Hongying spread her hands and said, "Then what should I say? Can't I say it's my own? Otherwise, they will ask more questions." Yi Chubai covered his face. He has already thought about how Master will deal with the two of them when he comes back. At this time, Yangshu also clasped his fists and said, "When I break through, I will thank you Master again." After finishing speaking, Yangshu turned into a beam of light, left here, and flew towards the depths of the Tibetan Taoist Academy. Qin Tianan and others also left one after another. Yi Chubai looked around, touched his head and said, "Where did Master go? Doesn't he usually go out?" Hongying also shook her head and said, "Master naturally has his own business, let's practice." Yi Chubai nodded, but still couldn't help complaining. "Master, you have your own business. At this time, in a dark forest in the northern region. The trees in the forest are all yellow and withered. Basically the leaves have fallen, leaving only dead branches. However, these withered trees are extremely dense, and those branches are like spider webs, crisscrossing in midair. Even light is difficult to penetrate. Only sporadic light can be squeezed in from the branches. This place is extremely gloomy and dark. And here in the depths of the forest, there is a formation. If you look from the outside, here is a big mountain. But inside, it is an attic. On the plaque in the attic, the word, shadow killing, is engraved. At this time, in the highest floor of the attic. The soul card of the first kill dissipated. Among them, a man in black looked respectfully at the man sitting on the high platform, nodded and said, "Yes." Just before a stick of incense, the soul card of the first kill disappeared, presumably the mission failed. The man sitting on the high platform covered his face, but his exposed right eye had a deep scar. Shadow killer has an internal ranking. The first kill is the person with the highest success rate and the most reward among the shadow kills. The first kill also failed. The Gaotai man frowned and said, "According to the news, Yi Chubai has just entered the Qi realm, and with the strength of the first kill, it is more than enough to kill Yi Chubai. Could it be that the news is wrong?" Quote, "The realm of the first kill is in the early stage of Qianyuan realm. Qianyuan realm can't even kill a person who has just entered Qi realm. That is too unbelievable. Pavilion Master, could it be that someone is helping Yi Chubai?" The shadow-killing Pavilion Master shook his head and said, "If you can keep the first kill, then your strength is at least the top 10 in the martial arts list. The Lord of the Shadow-Killing Pavilion is ranked 8th on the 4 regions martial arts list. However, even the 5th-ranked leader of the Sunset Dynasty is very afraid of killing the pavilion leader. Its assassination power is extremely terrifying." At this moment, a voice came out. "Wu Bang. I'm not on the Wu Bang." The Shadow Killer Pavilion Master and the man in black were taken aback for a moment, and suddenly looked forward. "There is a man in a green shirt. Who is your excellency?" The Lord of the Shadow Killing Pavilion's eyes were full of fear. Able to hide his perception and appear in front of him silently. What does this mean? This person's strength is not inferior to his own. Even stronger. After all, he is a killer, and he is extremely sensitive to the perception of some breaths. The man in the green shirt spread his hands and said, "Didn't you just talk about me?" The person who came was Lu Changsheng. The Shadow Killer Pavilion Master stood up, looked at Lu Changsheng and said, "You killed it." Lu Changsheng nodded and said, "I should speak clearly, right?" The Shadow Killer Pavilion Master snorted coldly, and his body suddenly disappeared in place. In the entire hall, it seems to be trapped in a fog. This is the shadow killing array. If it is said that other people need to work together to perform the shadow killing array, that shadow kills the pavilion master, and he can form a team alone. Its power will only be large or small. Lu Changsheng glanced around, blinked, and said, "Shadow killing formation." Outside the formation, the man in black proudly said, "The shadow killing formation is the way our shadow killers rely on to survive. Falling into it can block all perceptions. Make people hard to guard against." Quote. Shielding perception. Lu Changsheng was taken aback when he heard the words. In his eyes, the Shadow Killer Pavilion Master was standing in front of him on the left. Looking at him like a fool. From time to time, he changed places and kept approaching him. "You told me this is called blocking perception." Lu Changsheng got angry, pointed at the place where the Shadow Killing Pavilion Master was, and cursed, "Stop you banana. Isn't this right here? Why are you angry?" Although Lu Changsheng didn't think he was very smart, he was definitely not an idiot with 0 IQ. He felt insulted to his IQ. In an instant, the Shadow Killer Pavilion Master was dumbfounded. What's happening here? I was discovered by myself. Is my shadow killing array fake? In order to prevent whether Lu Changsheng is a blind cat or a dead mouse. So the Pavilion Master of Shadow Killing changed his position again and came to the rear of Lu Changsheng. In the end, Lu Changsheng also turned his head back, and said helplessly, "I said, can't you find a bunker?" The Shadow Killing Pavilion Master still didn't believe it, so he changed the direction again. This time, Lu Changsheng couldn't bear it anymore, and with his face full of anger, he rushed up and grabbed the Shadow Killing Pavilion Master. While cursing, "Are you treating me as blind or an idiot?" One side, one slap after another. Slapped on the head of Pavilion Master Shadow Killer. The crisp sound resounded throughout the hall. Chapter 66 Your melon, keep it ripe. In the main hall. The sound of beating melon seeds on the head was extremely crisp. In the main hall, there are constant echoes. Now the shadow killing formation has dissipated. The men in black on the periphery were dumbfounded when they saw Lu Changsheng keep pumping seeds on the head of his Pavilion Master. Pavilion Master. As the 8th strongest player in the 4 regions martial arts list. The Lord of Shadow Killers who made countless people fearful. Now being held up by a very young man, scratching his head. The Shadow Killer Pavilion Master was also taken dumbfounded. It's not that he doesn't want to resist, but that he can't resist at all. The young man in front of him grabbed the hem of his clothes, as if he had been directly planted with a supreme restraint, but he couldn't lift a trace of cultivation. Originally, let alone patting the brain, even if the ears were punched, there would be no feeling at all. For a strong man like them, there has long been a kind of aura protection around the body. But Lu Changsheng's hand fell directly on his head as if directly breaking through this layer of protection. As the instigator, Lu Changsheng, was listening to this crisp sound. Don't say it, it feels quite cool. Subconsciously asked, is your melon, sure ripe? Shadow Killing Pavilion Master. The man in black. Looking at the confused faces of the two, Lu Changsheng couldn't help explaining in embarrassment. I'm sorry, I'm just playing around. Not long after, Lu Changsheng also stopped. The Shadow Killing Pavilion Master asked at this time, Your Excellency, since the first kill has already been beheaded, why do you still come here? Hearing this, Lu Changsheng smiled. If you say, Lu Changsheng's usual smile makes people feel heartless. At this moment, there is a sense of coldness. The Lord of the Shadow Killing Pavilion saw Lu Changsheng's smile, and his heart trembled. Feeling his own state, Pavilion Master Shadow Killer was shocked again. When did I feel scared when I saw other people's faces? Lu Changsheng sneered at this time and said, You want to kill my disciple time and time again, if it's outside, it's fine. But this time, you all bullied me in front of me, it is unreasonable for me as a master not to take action. Quote. Yi Chubai originally didn't want Lu Changsheng to make a move. Lu Changsheng also nodded in agreement. But that's also limited to the Sunset Dynasty. And later, the Shadow Killer suddenly came in again. This also allowed Lu Changsheng to find an outlet, and he was already upset. If he didn't go to the Sunset Dynasty, it would be okay to ask you to kill him. The Lord of the Shadow Killing Pavilion frowned slightly, You are Yi Chubai's master. But you are not listed in the information. It is not normal to have it. Lu Changsheng couldn't help thinking to himself, after all, he is so low-key that he basically stays at home. If you can get his information, then you can only say that you have an undercover agent by your side. Lu Changsheng said, It's not important anymore. After thinking about it, I don't need anything, and you have nothing to give. Just slapping me on the head won't relieve my anger. How about this, or do you self-destruct your cultivation? Quote. Hearing this, Pavilion Master Yingxia was furious, and shouted, Your Excellency is too whimsical. After finishing speaking, Pavilion Master Shadow Killer jumped onto the high platform. One after another spiritual energy poured into the seat, and suddenly, the whole hall turned into nothingness. Instead, one after another, dark walls rose into the sky. Actually surrounded Lu Changsheng in it. And around him, there are countless intersections, like a maze. Each force will have a guardian formation. There is Zhengdu Academy. Shadow Killer is no exception. In this formation, even if the king of the Sunset Dynasty is trapped in it, it will be extremely headache. Looking around, Lu Changsheng nodded and said, Finally, there is a bunker. The Shadow Killer Pavilion Master who manipulated the formation almost choked to death upon hearing the words. There are 9 main roads in this formation, and 81 fork roads will diverge from the main road. Among them, there is only one road for survival. Can you break this formation? Lu Changsheng couldn't help being startled when he heard this. 9 main roads, 81 side roads, only one way out. If this is really wrong, wouldn't there be nothing? Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng decided, wouldn't it be good if he didn't take these roads at all? Seeing that Lu Changsheng didn't move, the Shadow Killer Pavilion Master outside the formation couldn't help sneering. You think you'll be fine if you don't move. In this maze, your aura will be consumed faster. As for forcibly breaking the formation, this is the formation at the peak of the earth level, it is simply whimsical to want to forcefully break the formation. However, the words are not finished yet. In the maze formation, there was a sudden burst of extremely violent aura. Among them, there is even more sword intent roaring and spear intent. The meaning of the flame turned into a sea of flames, diffused out, and swept the entire hall. The Lord of the Shadow Killing Pavilion was taken aback for a moment, and hurriedly used his cultivation base with all his strength to resist the aftermath attacks one after another. As for the man in black, was engulfed by the sea of flames long ago, turned into ashes, and his soul flew away. Not long after, the sea of flames even burned down the entire attic of Shadow Killer. Among them, there were screams. For a moment, the shadow-killing pavilion was reduced to ashes, and above the attic, sword and spear intent pervaded the air. After a while, this brutal force gradually dissipated. Lu Changsheng's figure appeared. Looking at the scene around him, he couldn't help but said in surprise, "Huh. I'm afraid I won't be able to break through this formation like this. It seems that you are using too much force. This formation is too bad." Quote. At this moment, the pavilion master of Shadow Killer knelt on the ground with one knee, breathless. Hearing these words, he spit out a mouthful of blood. Killing and punishing the heart, nothing more. The lord of the shadow-killing pavilion looked at Lu Changsheng, who was slowly approaching, clutching his chest. The black mask was burned by the flames, revealing an extremely pale face. "Who are you?" The strength of the young man in front of him is simply terrifying. It made him feel powerless to resist. Even when facing the king of the Sunset Dynasty, he didn't feel this way. "Could it be that you are from Zhongyu?" Among the 4 regions' martial arts rankings, the top 4 are all from the central region. Lu Changsheng shook his head. "I'm not, and you don't need to know, I'm going to die anyway. What's more, don't you know that the more you talk, the more accidents are likely to happen?" Quote. After finishing speaking, he didn't wait for the lord of the shadow-killing pavilion to speak, and slapped him on the head of the sky. In an instant, with a crisp sound, the shadow-killing pavilion master's whole body softened, his eyes were lifeless, and he fell to the ground. The breath has completely disappeared. Lu Changsheng's palm directly shattered the soul of the shadow killer pavilion master. Immediately, another point was pointed out, and a flame fell on the body of the shadow-killing pavilion master, and the body was instantly burned out. Destroy corpses and wipe out traces. Lu Changsheng doesn't want others to find out that he did it, and then people keep coming to him. Did it all. Just clapped his hands, and shouted, "Okay, I feel much better, I'm going back to eat." After finishing speaking, Lu Changsheng's figure disappeared in place. It took about 2 incense sticks. Then someone came here, and seeing the burned shadow-killing pavilion, his face changed drastically. Chapter 67 Big Brother. The Blame Man. At this moment, the imperial palace of the Sunset King City. In the main hall, the king of the country sat on the dragon chair, heard the report from the people below, frowned and said, "You said that the shadow-killing pavilion was completely wiped out. What about the shadow-killing pavilion master?" The **** below replied, "The master of the shadow-killing pavilion is missing." Huang Yidong frowned even deeper. According to the strength of pavilion master Shadow Killer, Huang Yidong would definitely not believe him if he died for no reason like this. However, Shadow Killer is now a subsidiary force of the Sunset Dynasty. If the shadow-killing pavilion is really destroyed by other people, it is impossible that the shadow-killing pavilion master will not come to ask for help. This also made Huang Yidong have to think about the bad. Who the hell can it have the strength to destroy the shadow-killing pavilion? He has seen the formation in the shadow-killing pavilion before, even he can't break through that formation in a short time without the help of external objects. If the other party took a long time, then the shadow killer pavilion master would have thought of a way to notify him for support. But there is no notification, which means that the other party broke the formation in a short time. A person who can achieve this kind of strength must be stronger than him. There are only 4 people who are stronger than him. Those 4 people are all in the central region, and they are also the top 4 figures in the 4 regions martial arts list. Only those 4 people can do this. It's just that what Huang Yidong can't understand is that Yingxia should have never had contact with people in the central territory. Not to mention offending the forces in Zhongyu. Who is that? Huang Yidong couldn't figure it out, and ordered to the people below, take someone to block the shadow-killing pavilion. If anyone comes, please notify me as soon as possible. The people below received the order and immediately sent people to the shadow-killing pavilion. And the emperor is unified. At this moment, it seems that dark clouds have risen in my heart. The shadow-killing pavilion was destroyed this time, which gave him an ominous premonition. The stronger the strength and the deeper the realm, the more sensitive the perception of danger will be. Southern region. Lu Changsheng has returned to the thatched cottage. Yi Chubai and Hongying immediately greeted him. Where did master go? Lu Changsheng sat down on the bamboo chair, and said, no reason, just go and kill that shadow. Yi Chubai and Hongying were both taken aback. It's mainly because I couldn't help it, you know. Lu Changsheng shook his head helplessly, otherwise, how could I run out as a teacher? Wouldn't it be nice to lie here in the sun and take a nap? By the way, you two, hurry up and cook. I went out for a run, consumed a lot of energy, and was hungry. Quote. Yi Chubai and Hongying looked at each other helplessly, then walked into the kitchen. Even though his cultivation base is so advanced, he still thinks about eating every day. However, since I came to thatched cottage, if they didn't practice, Yi Chubai and Hongying would eat with Lu Changsheng. 3 meals a day, never missing a single meal. Now, the two are used to it. Even Yunming would rub his cheeks. The main reason is that the aura of the ingredients used in these meals is extremely pure. Every time I take a bite, I feel that my cultivation base has increased a little. No, when the food was served, Yunming came over with the cheek again. Lu Changsheng picked up his job bowl, and glanced at Yunming in disgust. This kid has to eat a lot every time, so that sometimes he can't enjoy himself. However, as a master, it is natural to be more generous in front of apprentices. Don't look too stingy. Our layout is bigger, you know. On the way to eat, Hongying seemed unintentional, and said, Master, the elder of Dantang said that when you come back, you should go there. Lu Changsheng asked in surprise, why? This old man doesn't know me very well, so why is he suddenly calling me over today? Hearing this, Yi Chubai told the whole story. Listen. Lu Changsheng's face turned blue. After listening, Lu Changsheng put his job bowl on the table, patted the table and said, you two, who pushed the matter on me? Yi Chubai was still hesitating whether to shake out the red tassel. Or, as a senior brother, do you want to take the blame for your junior sister? When Yi Chubai was about to take this pot on his back, Hongying spoke. Brother said it. Do not hesitate. There is no sloppiness in the slightest. My face is not red either. It's true. Yi Chubai was dumbfounded. I regard you as a younger sister, but you regard me as a villain. Before Yi Chubai could explain, Lu Changsheng looked at Yi Chubai with murderous eyes. As a teacher, you have worked tirelessly to kill the enemy and take revenge, and you turned around and sold me. What's more, I didn't make the pills. Quote. Yi Chubai glanced at Lu Changsheng who was about to strangle him to death, then looked at Hongying. Hongying's lips moved, but no sound came out. Yi Chubai could see what she said. Roughly means, brother take care. Seeing this, Yi Chubai could only say with a bitter face, Master. I was wrong. Then, Lu Changsheng's roar came from the thatched cottage. Yi Chubai, you have taken care of the whole thatched cottage this month. Now go down and sweep the mountains. After dinner, Lu Changsheng reluctantly ran to Dantang. Along the way, the disciple looked at him in surprise. This face seems a bit dark. However, after these days, the reputation of thatched cottage gradually spread in the academy. When meeting Lu Changsheng, he would respectfully say, I have seen you, senior. After all, the people in the thatched cottage did not confer the position of elder in the Tibetan Taoist Academy, nor did they have other positions, so they can only be called elders. However, Lu Changsheng's current status in the academy is extremely high. Can cultivate a swordsman genius like Yi Chubai. Not only realized the sword intent, but also defeated the #1 swordsman of the younger generation in the Northern Territory. Helped the Nanu Tibetan Taoist Academy to restore the situation and win the first place. And Hongying. Not just like a fairy. The strength is even more shocking. Breakthrough to the Qianyuan realm at such a young age, and his strength is even higher than all the elders and deans. Hongying is the person who can suppress the 7th in the 4 regions martial arts list. Qin Tianan was ranked 26th, so naturally he would not be Hongying's opponent. It is estimated that in the next 2 days, the ranking of the 4 regions martial arts ranking will change. How could Lu Changsheng not be loud enough to cultivate such 2 talented people one after another? Some people even say that worshipping in thatched cottage means soaring into the sky. This news also spread to other places in the southern region. As a result, there are countless people who are urging the younger generation to practice, hoping that he can enter the thatched cottage. And when Lu Changsheng went to Dantang, a man dressed as a scholar came to the gate of the outer courtyard of the Tibetan Taoist Academy with a book basket on his back. At the mountain gate, there are two outer court disciples on duty. Who are you? Why are you here at the academy? The scholar said politely, I'm here to find Master. Master. The two of them were taken aback for a moment, thinking that the scholar wanted to be under a certain elder of the Tibetan Taoist Academy, and said, I'm sorry, it's not time for enrollment yet, please go back first. The scholar shook his head and said, I'm not here to enroll students. Xiaosheng's master is here. It seems to be called Thatched Cottage. Chapter 68 Ning Chen Heart Returns. Thatched Cottage. Sounds so familiar. The two outer court disciples guarding the mountain gate tilted their heads and looked at each other. Immediately, the scholar said again, my master's name is Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng. Etc. The two outer court disciples turned their heads and stared at the scholar together. Are you a disciple of Senior Lu? The scholar nodded with a smile. However, one of the disciples from the outer courtyard doubted, do you have anything to prove that you are a disciple of Senior Lu? After all, Lu Changsheng is now famous far and wide. The disciples from the outer courtyard also had to ask. Ning Chen thought for a while, then shook his head and said, Master didn't pass me a token, but you two can go and report it, and you will know it as soon as you see it. The two disciples looked at each other, but when they heard that Ning Chenxin was Lu Changsheng's disciple, they didn't dare to neglect, so they nodded and said, okay, I'll report it right away. At this time, as soon as the disciple finished speaking, 3 or 4 men came over not far away. See this scene. One of the men asked, what's going on? When the disciples from the outer courtyard saw the man, they immediately said respectfully, Senior Zhang Wu. This little scholar claims to be a disciple of Senior Lu, so I want to report it first to verify it. Zhang Wu heard the words. While looking at Ning Chenxin, he said, okay, you go. After the disciples from the outer court left, Zhang Wu looked at Ning Chenxin, and asked in doubt, Senior Lu only has 2 disciples so far. I have never heard of another one being accepted. Ning Chen smiled heartily, and said calmly, Xiaosheng is a disciple accepted by the master, it is normal not to know. Hearing the words, Zhang Wu nodded, but he didn't believe it. After all, who dares to pretend to be a disciple of Senior Lu? Senior Lu's disciples are all monsters at the level of Yi Chubai and Hongying. Ordinary people can't impersonate. Then, Ning Chenxin is definitely talented and extremely evil. Thinking of this, Zhang Wu couldn't help but said, then you should be very strong. I can't see your realm, can you give me some advice? Ning Chen heard the words, but shook his head and said, I have no realm. No boundary. Zhang Wu and the 2 men behind him were taken aback. Just a mortal. Ning Chenxin lifted the book basket behind his back, and said with a smile, Xiaosheng is just a scholar. Student. Zhang Wu smiled and said, we are also scholars, and we have cultivated Confucianism and Taoism, so can we ask for advice? Ning Chen nodded with a smile and said, I don't dare to ask for advice, let's discuss with each other. The 2 people behind Zhang Wu looked at this scene and couldn't help saying, I don't know how the strength of Senior Lu's disciples compares with Senior Brother Zhang's. Brother Zhang is a candidate for the elder of the Confucian Academy in the future, and his Confucianism and Taoism are naturally advanced. If it is in this respect, he should not be weaker than the disciples of Senior Lu. It's hard to say, after all, Senior Lu's disciples are too monstrous. If this person is really a disciple of Senior Lu, then I'm afraid. Right. At this time, Zhang Wu asked, nowadays, people in the world regard martial arts as the way of longevity, alchemy and array formation as supplements, and even some people practice the way of weapons, but Confucianism and Taoism, but not many people care about it, which has led to their decline. What do fellow Taoists think? Quote. Ning Chen smiled heartily, without panic, with a calm face and extremely indifferent eyes. What's the difference? Hearing this, Zhang Wu was taken aback, as were the 2 disciples behind him. The difference. After completing martial arts, you can move mountains and fill seas, and spy on longevity. Cultivate alchemy, you can change your fate against the sky, and the dead wood will come back to spring. Once the Tao of formation is completed, it can burn the sea, destroy the city, destroy the sky and destroy the earth. With the completion of Qi Dao, one can master the heavenly soldiers and be rich. What about Confucianism and Taoism? Isn't that just reading? Going a little further, it is self-cultivation. Thought of this. The three of Zhongwu even doubted their own Tao heart. Why do you want to practice Confucianism and Taoism? However, Ning Chenxin's next words woke up the three of them like a blow to the head. Fellow Taoist also said that martial Tao, alchemy Tao, formation Tao, and artifact refining Tao all have the same word for Confucianism and Taoism. There are many kinds of ways, but they lead to the same goal after all. As long as you practice to great success, you will be the supreme way. Quote. At this moment, what Lu Changsheng said to him at the beginning rang in Ning Chenxin's mind. It is true that martial arts can move mountains and fill seas, but Confucianism and Taoism can also rule the world with one word. Alchemy can change fate against the sky, Confucianism and Taoism can also understand the mind, and the soul is immortal. Formation Tao can burn seas and destroy cities, and Confucianism and Taoism can also be suppressed with one word. Quote. Heard the words. The eyes of Zhongwu and the others became clearer, and even, on Zhongwu's body, the breath began to rise slowly. Immediately, the three of them sat cross-legged, their breath rising continuously. Obviously, it is time to break through. Seeing this, Ning Chen smiled, and didn't bother him anymore. He has no cultivation base, he is just a scholar. After a while, the disciples from the outer courtyard came back. Behind him, there was a man and a woman. The man has sword eyebrows and star eyes, is as rich as jade, and is extremely handsome. The woman's teeth are like gored rhinoceros, and her head is like a fairy in a painting. The two walked up to Ning Chenxin. Among them, the man smiled and asked, "Are you a disciple accepted by master?" Ning Chen heard the words, nodded and said, "Yes, big brother." "Oh, you know me." The man was a little surprised. Ning Chenxin nodded and smiled. "Master mentioned you, saying that I have a senior brother, and this one should be the second senior sister, right?" Hongying smiled and said, "Since you are the disciple accepted by master, then follow us." Hongying has experienced 9 lives, so she can naturally tell whether Ning Chenxin is lying. Yi Chubai looked at Zhongwu and the others, and asked in surprise, "Why are these 3 people making breakthroughs?" Ning Chen sighed inwardly, and said, "I just had a discussion with this fellow Taoist. On the road. Let them break through." Hongying and Yi Chubai took another look at Ning Chenxin. Although it can't be seen that Ning Chenxin has a cultivation base, it seems that it is not easy. After finishing speaking, the two returned to the thatched cottage with Ning Chenxin. Not too long. The realms of the three of Zhongwu are all breakthroughs. After opening his eyes, he looked at the disciples from the outer court who looked at him with reverence and envy, and asked urgently, "Where's that fellow Taoist just now?" The outer courtyard disciple said, "Ah, he was taken away by senior brother Yi." Zhongwu nodded and said with emotion, "As expected of senior Lu's disciples, everyone is so evil." The two people behind him nodded in agreement when they heard the words. The other side. Lu Changsheng scolded Yi Chubai in his heart, thinking about giving him some punishment or something. One side came to the courtyard where Elder Dantang was. Elder Dantang seemed to have received the news long ago and was already waiting outside the door. Seeing Lu Changsheng, he immediately asked, "Changsheng, how did you refine that elixir?" Lu Changsheng's face twitched when he heard this. "What kind of medicine? Neither of them told me. You show me anyway." Chapter 69 Lu Changsheng's version of Po Yuan pill. He's meowing. After going back, he must do some work for that boy Yi Chubai. Otherwise, I won't have a long memory. The more Lu Changsheng thought about it, the more angry he became. The more he thought about it, the more angry he became. I almost didn't clean up the door myself. At this time, Elder Dantang eagerly asked, "Longsheng, how is this elixir refined?" This is extremely important to the academy. A elixir that can make people in Qianyuan realm 100% break through the realm. Although the side effect is that they will never be able to break through in the future, it is extremely useful for those who cannot break through and whose lifespan has reached the limit. If this kind of elixir spreads outside, only one pill is needed to trigger a huge wave. It is no exaggeration to even say that there is a bloodbath. Lu Changsheng said helplessly, don't worry, let me think about it first. A pill that can force Qianyuan realm experts to break through. What kind of elixir is this? I haven't seen it before. How about it, remember? Elder Dantang's face was full of hope. Lu Changsheng can't say that he doesn't know how to practice at this time. After all, that brat Yi Chubai has already sold himself. Why don't you tell me about the characteristics of that pill? Elder Dantang frowned, and asked suspiciously, don't you know the characteristics of the elixir you made yourself? Lu Changsheng pretended to be in pain, touched his head and said, I didn't sleep well last night, I was dizzy, and I can't remember some things. Elder Dantang was taken aback for a moment, and said concerned, your cultivation should not be low, right? Why do you still have a headache? Could it be some hidden disease? Let me see. Although the Elder Dantang is not familiar with Lu Changsheng. But Lu Changsheng is a member of the academy after all. Elder Dantang will naturally be concerned. Lu Changsheng hurriedly waved his hand, took a step back, and said, it's okay, it's just a common headache, it's nothing serious. Tell me about the characteristics of the pill. Quote. Although Elder Dantang was skeptical, he still explained the characteristics of the pill. Lu Changsheng thought for a moment. In general. As long as people in the Qianyuan realm can break through the realm, right? In recent years, Lu Changsheng has been exploring the way of alchemy, and it is not without such similar properties of elixirs. Although I don't know the formula of that elixir, but according to its characteristics, it should still be able to be refined. Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng said to Elder Dantang, well, I will refine it here. Elder Dantang immediately nodded, then follow me. After finishing speaking, he brought Lu Changsheng to his alchemy place. Lu Changsheng nodded, and immediately picked out dozens of natural and earthly treasures from the ring. Elder Dantang was taken aback. These treasures of heaven, material and earth have some medicinal properties that are mutually exclusive, and they cannot be blended together at all. This will only create a friar. However, since the elixir was made by Lu Changsheng, the Elder Dantang didn't point fingers, and watched Lu Changsheng make the elixir quietly. At this moment, in Lu Changsheng's mind, the characteristics of the various medicinal materials in front of him came to mind. What effect will fusion get? After mutual restraint, what consequences will be caused, and what methods can be used to neutralize it? After all, it is an unknown elixir. Lu Changsheng has no elixir formula, nor has he refined it, so he naturally needs to think about it. After a full burn of incense, Lu Changsheng just opened his eyes, and threw the herbs into the alchemy furnace. The artistic conception of fire turned into a sea of flames, covering the alchemy furnace. This step is also looking at Elder Dantang's brows jumping. After all, when refining medicinal materials, one must control the heat. Some medicinal materials must be boiled with a strong fire, while others must be boiled slowly. Otherwise, the potency of the medicine will be destroyed. And what about Lu Changsheng? Directly enveloped the entire alchemy furnace with flames, and the temperature distorted the surrounding space. Elder Dantang still did not make a sound. Lu Changsheng threw the medicinal herbs in without the slightest hesitation. Not long after, when the alchemy furnace was tapped, streaks of liquid medicine flew out of it. Put it into the jade bottle. Elder Dantang was taken aback when he saw this, and he took a closer look, and immediately took a deep breath. This liquid medicine is purified, without any impurities. Such a variety of medicinal materials can be extracted at the same time, but he can do this, even he can't do it. At this time, Elder Dantang was able to confirm that Lu Changsheng's alchemy strength was probably far superior to him. Immediately afterwards, Lu Changsheng threw the liquid medicine into the alchemy furnace. Another 2 incense sticks passed. In the alchemy furnace, the fragrance of medicine slowly came out. Elder Dantang was shocked by the smell. But I am a little confused. The fragrance of this medicine seems to be a bit different from the pill that Hongyan gave before. At this time, Lu Changsheng made a move with his palm, and a pill flew out of the pill furnace. Was caught by Lu Changsheng. How about it? Elder Dantang stepped forward to inquire. Looking at the elixir in his hand, Lu Changsheng felt a little uneasy. Although this elixir is refined according to the characteristics described by Elder Dantang. But he has no idea what the final effect will be. You still need to find someone to try it out. Would you like to find someone to try? Elder Dantang nodded, and said, in the college, there is another person who is in the early stage of the Qianyuan realm, but because of his unstable foundation, he cannot make progress. You can let him try. Lu Changsheng nodded. At this time, Hongying also came to find her. Master, third junior brother is back. Third junior brother. Lu Changsheng nodded and said, Ning Chenxin, right. I still have something to do with the elder, and I will go back later. Elder Dantang said, your master and I are going to try the elixir. Elixir. Hongying was taken aback for a moment, then recalled the previous events. Can't help but ask, is it the Po Yuan pill? The two nodded. Hongying also saw the elixir in Lu Changsheng's hand, and couldn't help being surprised. Breaking Yuan pill was the elixir of their era, and the prescription has long been lost. Even if she didn't have it, did Master really refine it? Thinking of this, Hongying followed curiously. Came to an attic. The attic here is the place where the Tibetan Taoist Academy collects martial arts and martial arts. Yi Chubai obtained the remnants of the heavenly demon 9 swords from here. Elder Dantang came to the door and said, Mr. Li, I have something to see. The attic door was opened, and an old man walked out slowly, asking, what's the matter? If Yi Chubai is here, he can recognize that this is the elder who guards the pavilion. Elder Dantang told the whole story. When Mr. Li heard the words, a look of light flashed across his cloudy eyes. Really? Elder Dantang nodded and said, the Supreme Elder has already retreated. Hearing this, Mr. Li nodded and said, anyway, I can't go any further with my cultivation, and my lifespan is running out, so let's give it a try. After finishing speaking, Mr. Li took the special version of broken Yuan pill from Lu Changsheng's hand, sat cross-legged, swallowed it, and began to operate the exercises to absorb the medicine's power. Not for long. Under everyone's amazed eyes, Mr. Li's realm has begun to break through. Stepped into the middle stage of Qianyuan realm. Chapter 70 Zhongyu. What a breakthrough! Old Li opened his eyes, and the cloudy eyes were shining with dazzling brilliance. He has stagnated in this realm for countless years. He had already given up hope, but now he broke through. Hongying was also extremely surprised when she saw this scene. Obviously there is no elixir formula, but just knowing the effect of elixir, can you reproduce a elixir? No. Not right. The aura on Mr. Li's body is different from the aura after using the Poyuan pill to break through. When Lu Changsheng saw this, he was also relieved. Fortunately, it was made out, otherwise it would be really difficult to do business. Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng decided to go back and practice Yi Chubai. At this time, the aura on Mr. Li's body did not decrease, but increased dramatically. Elder Dantang was taken aback, looked at Lu Changsheng and asked, Changsheng, what's going on? Lu Changsheng did not answer. It's not that he doesn't want to answer, but that he doesn't know either. Elder Li felt this violent breath, his eyes were ecstatic. Sit cross-legged again. The exercises in the body are running crazily, and the residual medicinal power is flooding the meridians. It seems to be tempering Li Lao's meridians. Elder Dantang watched this scene, dumbfounded. Didn't it mean that after breaking through, you can no longer deposit in? Lu Changsheng said, maybe it's the result of this improvement. Red Sakura was also a little sluggish. After a while, Old Li stood up. His realm is firmly in the middle of Qianyuan realm. I remember you said that taking this elixir will prevent you from making any progress in the future. Old Li was puzzled, but why do I feel that I can still make a breakthrough? At this moment, Mr. Li's meridians seemed to be activated, exuding vitality again. At the same time, the aura in the Dantian began to surge like a wave. It is no longer a pool of stagnant water. Lu Changsheng was developing in a good direction, so he breathed a sigh of relief. Hongying was even more amazed at the sight. Originally, the Po Yuan pill was to completely burn the talent, and it had achieved the effect of breaking the realm. Now, the master not only let the other party break through, but the talent seems to have become better. You must know that a person's talent is difficult to change later in life. Elder Dantang was very excited when he saw this. The effect of this elixir can be said to be of great help to Tibetan Tao Academy. The elders of each hall basically reach the end of the Qianyuan state. After taking this elixir, it can not only break through, but also improve talent. This kind of elixir is simply unheard of. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng said, I made a few more when I was practicing, so I put them here, and I'll go first. As for the pill formula, Lu Changsheng did not keep it. It is mainly for them, and I am afraid that it will not be refined. Among them, Lu Changsheng added the power of life. In the Tibetan Taoist Academy, who has the power of life? Even if you look at the entire continent, you probably won't be able to find it. Elder Dantang held those pills, his eyes were shining brightly. Okay, I'll go and discuss it with the dean. After finishing speaking, he also left here. Lu Changsheng shook his head helplessly, and returned to the thatched cottage with Hongying. At this moment, in the thatched cottage, Yi Chubai and Ning Chenxin are talking. Seeing Lu Changsheng come back, they all got up and said, I have seen master. Lu Changsheng nodded, looked at Ning Chenxin, and said with a smile, is there any harvest these days? You have to act like a master. Ning Chen smiled heartily, it's a lot of harvest. Yi Chubai also interjected from the side, third junior brother's practice of Confucianism and Taoism can be described as a pedantic heavenly man. Even those people in the Confucian Academy now admire third junior brother. Obviously, Yi Chubai is also very happy to have a third junior brother now. At that time, there is any work that can be shared by the juniors, right? However, Yi Chubai is fine if he doesn't speak now, but when he speaks, Lu Changsheng becomes angry. Blame this kid. I had to go to alchemy. Now that I've done it, I guess I'll have more things to do with myself in the future. This salted fish. Oh no, the leisure life is getting farther and farther away from me. Do you have a voice here? Yi Chubai froze. Ah. Cleaned up the mountain. Yi Chubai scratched his head and said, all the fallen leaves have been cleaned up. Lu Changsheng asked, what about the dust? What about the droppings of the birds that pass by here? The whole mountain is covered by an enchantment, how can there be dust? But Yi Chubai didn't dare to say anything now, knowing that master was still angry, he couldn't help but smiled wryly, master, I'll go right away. Wait. Lu Changsheng pointed to the kitchen and said, cook first. Yi Chubai. In the coming days, Ning Chenxin was invited by the elders of the Confucian Academy to give lectures. Originally, some people doubted Ning Chenxin's ability. However, after Ning Chenxin finished speaking, when the students of the Confucian Academy see Ning Chenxin, they will respectfully address him as Mr. A master is a teacher. Hongying is consolidating her realm. As for Yi Chubai, besides cooking for Lu Changsheng, he is also cleaning the mountain. During this period, the elders of Dantang often came to the thatched cottage to ask Lu Changsheng for advice on alchemy. It was fine the first few times. The number of times is too many, and when Elder Dantang comes, Lu Changsheng will find a place to hide. A few more days passed. Ning Chen said goodbye to Lu Changsheng heartily. He is going to continue preaching in the south. Hongying said to Ning Chen, junior brother, although you won't provoke trouble outside like senior brother, I still give this to you for self-defense. It's the Phoenix Jade Pendant. Ning Chen smiled and nodded, thank you, senior sister. Yi Chubai rolled his eyes crazily. Provoking right and wrong. Leave this content aside for me. As a big brother, Yi Chubai naturally wanted to show something, and stepped forward to give Ning Chenxin a sound transmission talisman. If you are in danger, remember to use this to contact me, I will come. Feeling the concern of Yi Chubai and Hongying, Ning Chen felt warm in his heart. Then he also bowed to Lu Changsheng, saying, Master, senior brother and sister, Chenxin will go first. Go. After Ning Chenxin left, Qin Tianan also came over. Chubai, are you ready? Today is the day to go to the general hospital. Yi Chubai nodded. Today, he has no opponent in the Tibetan Taoist Academy in the southern region, and it is time to go to the general academy. As for Hongying, she also left the thatched cottage after practicing for a few days. I don't know where I went. Lu Changsheng didn't ask too much. Sitting on the chair, he couldn't help but sigh, the cooks are gone again. Medium domain. Although it is not included in the 4 major domains. But its strength should not be underestimated. There are many sects and families all over the place. Including 3 families, 2 families, and 1 house. The 2 sects include Yinjianzong and Danzong. The first courtyard is Tibetan Taoist Academy. As for the 3 families, they are the most mysterious. They don't recruit disciples, and they all have family blood. Now, Yi Chubai has come to the main courtyard of Tibetan Taoist Academy. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 71 The Land of 100 Refinements. The main courtyard of Tibetan Taoist Academy is located in Zhongyu Tibetan Taoist Mountain. And Tibetan Daoshan, it is said that it was handed down in ancient times. According to the rumors, there are artistic conceptions everywhere in the Tibetan Tao Mountain, and as long as there is enough opportunity, you can understand it. The first dean of the Tibetan Taoist Academy obtained the Tao in the Tibetan Taoist Mountain, and was born from the central region in one fell swoop. Thus founded the Zhangdao Academy. Coming with Yi Chubai is Jian Chaomian from the Northern Territory, Shisheng from the Eastern region, and Zhonghe from the Western region. The four of them gathered again. Jian Chaomian looked at Yi Chubai, and said, "Are you at the Qixi realm? Let's compete again then." Now, Jian Chaomian has also fully comprehended the sword intent. It has reached the late stage of Qixi realm. Naturally want to compete with Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai smiled and nodded. Shisheng laughed at the side. "We are all angry at the sea level, and we probably won't be your opponent." Zhonghe was still smiling and did not speak. However, since the four-domain exchange, the breath has become more restrained. At this moment, a man walked over in front of him. The man looked indifferently, looked at the four of them, and said, "He came from the branch. Come with me." The tone is extremely indifferent. The four of them didn't care. "Follow the man forward." The man said as he walked. "In the general courtyard, the rules may be different from yours. You should pay attention. There are two forbidden places in the general courtyard that are absolutely forbidden to enter without permission. The first one is Ancestral Mountain, which is the place where the elders of the Taisheng practiced. The second one is Chudao Mountain, where you can only enter if you have enough points." Quote. Shisheng asked curiously, "Where is Chudao Mountain?" The man glanced at him, seemed a little impatient, and explained, "Chaodao Mountain is a place for asking immortals to ask questions. After breaking through the Qianyuan realm, you can feel the meaning of Tao in it. I don't know more about it." Hearing this, Shisheng and the others were a little surprised. Artistic conception can greatly enhance a person's combat power. For example, the sword intent of Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian. These are all things that can be encountered but not sought after. And in the mountain of seeking Tao, there is a chance to realize it. Shisheng felt emotional in his heart. It is worthy of being the Central Academy of Sciences, with such a profound heritage. The man continued, "Next, you can choose each hall to join. In addition to the discussion, there are 3 trial places. Refine the spirit, refine the body, and refine the body. Refining the gods is to refine the soul, while refining the body is to exercise the body, and the place of hundreds of exercises is the place of actual combat. At the same time, there will be a list in the trial place. The top 10 can get points, and the points can be exchanged for items, and can also be exchanged for the opportunity to enter Chudao Mountain." Quote. As he spoke, he came to the residence. Jian Chaomian's cave is similar to Yi Chubai's and belongs to the Sword Hall. Shisheng and Zhonghe are in Wutang. Several people take a rest. They gathered together. Shisheng looked at Yi Chubai and said, "Zhonghe and I are going to see the body training place first, how about you two?" Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian looked at each other. Jian Chaomian said, "I'm going to the land of hundreds of refinements, brother Yi, together." Yi Chubai nodded, he also had the same intention. Immediately afterwards, Jian Chaomian drew out his sword, and said with a smile, "Let's have a sparring before we go. I want to see how far I am from you now." Yi Chubai nodded, and took out the wooden sword. Shisheng and Zhonghe retreated consciously. Jian Chaomian squinted his eyes, then held the sword and slashed at Yi Chubai. Sword intent also pervades this cave. Nowadays, Jian Chaomian's sword intent is different from the past. Compared with before, it is much stronger. The strength of the late stage of the Qixi realm is undoubtedly revealed. After all, facing Yi Chubai, one cannot take it with common sense. Shisheng looked at this scene and couldn't help sighing. Jian Chaomian's strength has improved a lot. I'm afraid I can't take his sword anymore. Zhonghe still had a smile on his face, and said, "My Buddhist Vajra body probably won't be able to bear this sword." Seeing this, Yi Chubai's complexion did not change, and the sword intent rose above the wooden sword. Immediately swiped the sword and cut out. The sword intent turned into strands of sword light, cutting towards Jian Chaomian's sword intent. It may seem ordinary, but the sharpness contained in it will surprise anyone. Jian Chaomian was like this, feeling the sharp sword intent, his face changed slightly. Immediately, he still did not dodge, and slashed over. The collision between sword intent and sword intent. However, Jian Chaomian's sword intent is like rotten wood, vulnerable to a single blow. Was directly cut by Yi Chubai's sharp sword intent. Jian Chaomian stepped back slightly, and Yi Chubai stopped in time. Seeing this, Jian Chaomian smiled wryly and said, I thought that I would be able to shorten the gap with you by understanding the sword intent and stepping into the late stage of Qi realm, but I didn't expect it to become bigger and bigger. While Jian Chaomian was making progress, Yi Chubai had made even greater progress. Moreover, Yi Chubai's sword intent has already reached the level of a great sword master, so how can it be compared with Jian Chaomian, who is just getting started? Changsheng said with emotion, who would have thought that the Southern Territory, which we looked down upon at the beginning, would have an astonishingly talented and gorgeous generation like Brother Yi. Zhang He also nodded in agreement, and said, I really want to meet Brother Yi's master, who can train such an excellent disciple as Brother Yi. Hearing this, Yi Chubai smiled, and said, my master. It looks like I have nothing to do, but his ability is the most top-notch person I have ever seen, not one of them. Brother Yi will recommend it for us then. It depends on master's mood. Okay, let's go to the place of trial, and see what makes the talents of the General Academy so special. After finishing speaking, Changsheng and Zhang He went to the place of body training. And Jian Chaomian followed Yi Chubai to the Land of 100 Refinements. The Land of 100 Refinements is located in a mountain rift. Around the rift valley, many disciples stopped to watch. What they were looking at was a black stele in front of them. On the stone tablet, 10 names are engraved. Obviously, this is the so-called ranking. First place, engraved with the words Guan Zongyan. Behind Guan Zongyan's name, the 47th floor is engraved. What does the 47th floor mean? Jian Chaomian asked doubtfully. Someone nearby heard it, and out of enthusiasm, he explained, a new disciple, right? The Land of Hundreds of Refinements here is divided into 50 floors. The lower you go, the stronger the monsters that appear in it. Someone next to him said, no one has set foot on the last 3 floors for 100 years. I don't know if it's possible, Brother Guan. However, since you are new disciples, it is best to go to the first 5 floors to practice. After the 5th floor, the strength of the monsters will be very strong, so do what you can. Jian Chaomian smiled and nodded, thank you. After speaking, the two looked at each other and walked towards the Rift Valley. Chapter 72 Fight Alone. In the Land of Hundreds of Refinements. Divided into 50 layers. And among these 50 floors, monsters are everywhere. The monsters on the first 5 floors are all in the Purple Mansion realm. If you want to get to the 6th floor, you must defeat the guards at the peak of the Zifu realm. The first 5 floors are so powerful, so how far will the next Warcraft reach? Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian jumped into the rift now. Come to the first floor. I don't know whether this place was created artificially or formed naturally. The first layer is a huge boulder protruding from the cliff, and there are rocks all over the boulder. Like a rocky jungle. There are not many people in the first floor at this moment. Obviously, in the main courtyard, the first floor is not enough to trap other people. Jian Chaomian looked at Yi Chubai, and said with a smile, why don't you compete with whoever has more floors? Yi Chubai shrugged, indifferently said, yes. After finishing speaking, the two rushed forward. The monsters here are mostly in the early stages of the Zifu realm. There is no way to stop the pace of the two of them. A sword energy can sweep across the area. When the people around saw it, they couldn't help looking at Yi Chubai and the others. Those two are newcomers. Why haven't I met them before? Probably, but is the new disciple so strong this time? The two swept all the way and broke into the 2nd floor. Immediately, the 3rd floor. 4th layer. Until a hole on the 5th floor. As long as you pass through this hole, you can enter the 6th floor. At this moment, in front of the cave entrance, there is an elder sitting here. Which one of you will come first? If you want to pass through the cave in trance, you must defeat a magical beast at the peak of the Purple Mansion realm. Jian Chaomian took a step forward. Seeing this, the elder took out a token, and in the depths of the cave, a black lion walked out slowly. Roaring at Jian Chaomian, a burst of sound waves swept towards Jian Chaomian. The sword did not dodge or evade towards the crown, but it actually carried the sound wave and slashed towards the black lion. The sword glow turned into a long sword, continuously cutting towards the huge body of the lion. Just the blink of an eye. The body of the male lion is covered with blood holes. With a howl of misery, he fell down. The elder didn't show any surprise when he saw this, and nodded calmly. Okay, let's go in, the next one will come. Jian Chaomian didn't go in, but waited for Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai stood forward with a wooden sword in his hand. The elder also took out the token again, and at the entrance of the cave, a magical beast at the peak of the purple mansion rushed out again. Yi Chubai took a step forward and landed on the ground. Suddenly, a burst of sword energy shot out. Directly penetrated the eyebrows of Warcraft. The monster's eyes lost focus and fell to the ground while running wildly. That's right, let's go in. Seeing this, the elder nodded slightly, turned around and sat down on the chair. The two bowed slightly to the elder, and walked into the entrance of the cave. The hole goes all the way down. On the 6th floor, there are almost no light sources. Covered in layers of rock. Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian continued to sweep. The lower the number of layers, the higher the strength of the monster. During this period, Yi Chubai's combat experience became more and more abundant, and his control over the demonic 9 swords also became more and more advanced. During the period, Jian Chaomian said with emotion, "It's no wonder others say that the resources of the General Academy are much better. Just this place of hundreds of refinements is not comparable to other 4 region branches." Yi Chubai also nodded, "This place is indeed an excellent training ground." The two kept going down. When reaching the 31st floor, Jian Chaomian stopped. The monsters here have reached the late stage of Qixi realm. Moreover, the monsters here are no longer alone, they already have wisdom and will fight against the enemy together. I'm here, Brother Yi, you should still be able to go down. Yi Chubai looked at the hole ahead and nodded slightly. He wanted to know where his current limit was. All the way down. 2 days passed. Yi Chubai has reached the 34th floor. At this time, there are already half-step Qianyuan realm monsters hunting here. Here, Yi Chubai already felt a bit strenuous. When Tian Pin was beheaded before, after all, he used Qingyun Sword and Tian Pin's own underestimation of the enemy. Now, facing the half-step Qianyuan realm demonic beast, Yi Chubai is after all at the early stage of Qixi realm. At this time, 2 monsters with half-step Qianyuan realm appeared. One of them looks like a cow, with 4 horns on its head and extremely long hair, as if wearing a quar raincoat. The other one has the head of a leopard and the body of a tiger, with extremely sharp fangs. And these 2 monsters have extremely powerful auras. Yi Chubai did not back down, the wooden sword in his hand had already been replaced by a dark magic sword, and he went up to meet the 2 monsters. At this moment, there are people from the academy around. Watching this scene, they are all slightly surprised. After all, Yi Chubai is only at the early stage of Qixi realm. At this moment, he is alone fighting against 2 monsters who are half a step away from Qianyuan. 2 monsters roared, one left and one right rushed towards Yi Chubai. For a moment, the momentum was extremely terrifying. 2 huge forces pressed directly on Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai didn't dodge, and the dark magic sword in his hand gushed out with magic energy. Sword light surrounds the whole body, and the sword intent roars even more. Sword intent. Not bad, being able to comprehend the sword intent seems to be a good talent. No wonder you are so proud that you dare to challenge 2 monsters who are half a step away from Qianyuan. In the middle domain. Although there are not many people who comprehend the sword intent, that's all. However, the next scene surprised everyone. Yi Chubai stepped forward, and the sword intent turned into a river of sword energy. Swept towards the 2 monsters. Sword will turn into a river. Sword intent great achievement, great sword master. Qixi realm has reached the level of a great swordsman. Everyone looked sideways at him. There are not many masters of sword intent in Zhongyu. What's more, Yi Chubai is only at the early stage of Qixi realm. At this moment, in the river of swords, there are long swords with sword energy, extremely sharp. Lacing away. The 2 monsters roared one after another, bursting out with monstrous momentum. It seems to be fighting against John. Yi Chubai didn't just sit still and get closer. The dark demon in his hand suddenly slashed at the four-horned bull demon. The sixth sword of the heavenly demon, 9 swords. The monstrous demonic energy erupted, shocking the soul. There was a trace of wavering in the eyes of the four-horned bull demon. But it was this moment of shaking that Yi Chubai stood on the corner with a sword. Suddenly, the four corners directly broke the triangle. The four-horned bull demon howled miserably, and kept backing away. At the same time, Yi Chubai turned around and slashed out. The sword energy gushed out and turned into a huge slash, cutting towards the tiger and leopard. The tiger and leopard roared and opened its mouth, and those two huge fangs bit on the sword light. The weapons that tigers and leopards rely on for survival are those two huge fangs. The sword light shattered suddenly, and the tiger and leopard took a few steps back. This scene surprised everyone. A person in the early stage of the Qi realm, fighting against two monsters that are half a step up from the Qianyuan realm, how can they not lose the wind? Chapter 73. The steel is famous. At the moment, the deeds in the land of 100 refinements have already spread. At this moment, on the 34th floor, there is a sword cultivator at the early stage of the Qi realm who is fighting against two half-step Qianyuan realm monsters alone. Moreover, the sword intent has reached the level of a great sword master. This obviously made everyone extremely interested. In the main hall, a middle-aged man looked at Qin Tianan and said with a smile, "He is a good seedling, why don't you let him stay in the General Academy to practice? After all, the conditions here are better." Qin Tianan smiled and said, "I'm afraid it's not up to me to decide, and Chubai probably won't be willing either." Oh. The middle-aged man was quite surprised, and said, "In the General Academy, there are not only 3 trial sites, but also the mountain of seeking Tao and various resources. It is only beneficial to practice here." How could he disagree? It can't be that you don't want to let people go. Qin Tianan shook his head and smiled. That's not the case. If he didn't have a master, I'm afraid I would persuade him to stay here, after all, he is very talented. Master. The middle-aged man wondered, who is his master? Could it be that he is also from Zhongyu? Can teach such apprentices? Could it be someone from Hidden Sword Mountain? Thinking of this, the middle-aged man immediately shook his head. If you are from Yinjian Mountain, why do you need to join the Tibetan Taoist Academy? That is the most suitable place for sword repair. It is also a holy place in the minds of all sword repairmen in Central Region. Could it be some hidden sword cultivator? Hearing this, Qin Tianan couldn't help laughing. Hidden expert. Although Qin Tianan didn't know what Lu Changsheng's strength was, he just had that lazy look of lying on a chair every day. Really doesn't fit the appearance of a hidden sword cultivator. Looking at Qin Tianan's expression of wanting to laugh, the middle-aged man was a little confused. At the same time, in a yard. A woman is sitting in a courtyard. White hair scattered on the ground, wearing a sky blue skirt, without any embellishment. It seems that every bit of embellishment is superfluous. Eyebrows are dark like distant mountains without drawing, lips are vermilion if painted with sand. Like a hibiscus in clear water. At this time, a maid said from a distance, "Miss, I heard that a swordsman has come to the academy." It's not that the maid doesn't want to move forward, it's that she doesn't dare. Around the woman, if you look carefully, you can find that frost is everywhere. If you are not strong enough, you will turn into an ice sculpture if you approach a woman. The woman's red lips parted lightly. There is a weakness in the voice. People can't help but feel the desire to protect. Sword repair. What's your strength? The maid thought for a while and said, "I seem to have heard from them that they have already reached the level of a great swordsman." Great swordsman. The woman nodded and said nothing again. For her, it seems that she has lost interest in anything. Seeing this, the maid also looked sad for a while. Miss is extremely lively, and she treats people kindly on weekdays, but it is because of this physique that she has to be alone. At the same time, there were many people standing in front of the steel outside the 100 refining land. Then who is the sword cultivator? When did our academy have such a powerful swordsman? Even senior brother's son in the sword hall has only reached the level of a great swordsman, right? There was a man with a complex expression, and said, "He is from the southern region branch." If Jian Chaomian and the others were here, they would definitely be able to recognize this person as the man who led them. Southern region branch. Someone was surprised. Isn't the southern region called a wild land? How can there be such a talented swordsman? I have heard that there is a man named Jian Chaomian in the Northern Territory, who is called the #1 sword cultivator of the younger generation. The man shook his head and said, I read the information, and the person from the southern region branch is called Yi Chubai. Before that, he was unknown. However, during the exchange of the 4 domains, he defeated the sword and faced the crown, and even helped him understand the meaning of the sword. At this moment, someone pointed to the steel and said in horror, Look. Everyone looked at the steel, their expressions changed. The stone tablet that no one has squeezed in for many years, is now forcefully inserted by one person. 9th place, Yi Chubai, 37th floor. The previous 9th place climbed to the 36th floor. Now, Yi Chubai has taken his place. At this time, Jian Chaomian walked out of the rift in a somewhat embarrassed figure. When Jian Chaomian was on the 30th floor, he was defeated when he challenged the cave guard. Immediately, a large crowd gathered in front of the steel. Following everyone's gaze, he looked at the steel. Slightly stunned, then chuckled. Sure enough, even here, Brother Yi belongs to the top group. Jian Chaomian was not discouraged. For him, Yi Chubai is his pursuit target. The stronger the goal, the more motivated the sword will be. At this time, Yi Chubai also walked out of the land of 100 refinements. After coming out, he looked at Jian Chaomian and said with a smile, How is the effect? Not bad, I have some insights. Jian Chaomian looked at Yi Chubai, and said in shock, Brother Yi, have you broken through to the mid-stage Qixi realm? Yi Chubai nodded and said, Let's go back to practice and consolidate your realm. Afterwards, the two left under the eyes of everyone. After all, at this time, they still don't know what Yi Chubai looks like. Only know the name, but not the person. Only the man looked at Yi Chubai's leaving back, feeling a little emotional. At that time, he was extremely proud in front of him. Think that although they are the arrogance of the branch, they can only be regarded as mediocre when they come to the main hospital. There is no need to pay more attention to it. Did you ever think that Yi Chubai's talent would be so terrifying? If I made friends with him at that time, I am afraid that I will have a strong ally in the future. At this moment, on the other side, in the thatched cottage, Lu Changsheng lay on the bench, a little bored. System, is there any apprenticeship mission? Open black lens bracket not available yet close black lens bracket. Well, the days without apprentices are so empty. Mainly because I am too lazy to cook. Moreover, when the 3 disciples were there, it was so lively. Oh, forget about Yi Chubai. This trickster's stuff. Yi Chubai, who just wanted to practice, suddenly yawned, rubbed his nose, and said strangely, Is someone thinking of me? Open black lens bracket. If the host is bored, you can check the information of the disciples to see their current situation close black lens bracket. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng curled his lips, I seem to miss them, check. The mouth is too good. Open black lens bracket. Big disciple, Yi Chubai close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Realm, middle Qixi realm close black lens bracket. Cultivation method, Taichu Sword Sutra, Heavenly Demon 9 swords. Open black lens bracket. Great Sword Intent, Great Sword Master close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Practice in the main courtyard of Tibetan Taoist Academy close black lens bracket. Mid-stage Qixi realm. I heard that kid said it was still in the early stages, right? Pretty fast. Quote. Open black lens bracket. Second disciple, Hongying close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Realm, early Qianyuan realm close black lens bracket. Cultivation method, 9-turn reincarnation, reincarnation gun asterisk 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 way mood, gun mood, fire mood. Open black lens bracket. In the eastern region, looking for the former part of the Yunwang Empire close black lens bracket. The old department of the Yunwang Empire. What kind of big deal is this going to do? Lu Changsheng shook his head, but didn't bother. Open black lens bracket. Third disciple, Ning Chenxin close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Realm, mortal close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. The realm of Confucianism and Taoism, Great Confucianism close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket. Cultivation method, Dao Jing close black lens bracket. Open black lens bracket preaching in the South region close black lens bracket. Chapter 74 The students are stupid. My 3 disciples are a bit miserable, have no realm. Looking at Ning Chenxin's panel, Lu Changsheng couldn't help but think about it. Do you need to arrange some pills for him? Smash the realm up. Open black lens bracket The host doesn't need to worry. Ning Chenxin will break through the shackles and reach a very high level when Confucianism and Taoism are completely integrated into himself close black lens bracket. Lu Changsheng nodded. Although I don't quite understand, it's just right to nod anyway. At this time, Qin Tianan also returned to the academy. Go straight to the thatched cottage. Seeing Lu Changsheng, he asked directly, how did you find these monsters? Lu Changsheng let out an, ah. Qin Tianan said angrily, ah, what I mean is, Yi Chubai, Hongying and Ning Chenxin, where did you find such talents? Forehead. What can Lu Changsheng say? The task of the system is nothing more. Qin Tianan told about Yi Chubai's deeds in the General Hospital. Even the dean of the General Hospital was full of praise for Yi Chubai. He even wanted Yi Chubai to join the General Academy directly. After hearing this, Lu Changsheng became anxious, and said, this is impossible. Seeing this, Qin Tianan laughed and said, I still can't bear to part with such a monstrous disciple like Yi Chubai. The talent is so high, I also don't want to let go. But don't worry, I refused for you. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng breathed a sigh of relief, and said, that's good, it would be bad if there were no cooks. Quote question mark question mark question mark quote. Qin Tianan was taken aback, cook. Lu Changsheng immediately changed his words. No, disciple, Yi Chubai is my good disciple, how could he let him go? Qin Tianan's mouth twitched, but you are so good at teaching disciples, should you consider going to various churches to preach? Elder Dantang also wants you to go over and tell those disciples about alchemy. The elders of the Sword Hall also asked you to talk about your understanding of Kendo. The elders of the Confucian Academy also want to talk to you in the past. After all, Lu Changsheng has already shown his alchemy ability, and Elder Dantang is also ashamed of himself. In his mouth, Lu Changsheng has obviously been praised as the #1 alchemist in the southern region. As for the elders of the Jiantang, seeing Yi Chubai being so monstrous, he would definitely give the credit to Lu Changsheng. Naturally, I also want him to give lectures. Confucian school elder. Not to mention, Ning Chenxin has been eyeing Lu Changsheng ever since he discussed Taoism in the Confucian Academy. Ning Chenxin has such a deep understanding of Confucianism and Taoism. The master Lu Changsheng. Wouldn't it be more evil? When Lu Changsheng heard Qin Tianan's words, he did not show a look of pride like others. Instead, his complexion turned bitter, as if he had eaten Coptis chinensis. Uncle Qin, just let me go, look at me, isn't it a mistake to teach those students? Qin Tianan's face turned black. Misleading the children. If you can teach disciples like Yi Chubai, Hongying, and Ning Chenxin. It doesn't matter if you make mistakes. No, you have to go for me today. Lu Changsheng touched his stomach and said, but I haven't eaten yet. I'll let the kitchen in the outer courtyard do it for you. In the outer courtyard, there are still some students who have not reached the Bigu realm. What if it doesn't taste good? Then I'll send someone to buy it from a restaurant outside. Quote. What else could he say? What else can I say? Looking at Qin Tianan's posture, he must go today, and he has to go if he doesn't. If you don't go, I'm afraid you won't give up. Lu Changsheng had no choice but to nod with a bitter face. Okay, but don't blame me for not teaching well. Seeing this, Qin Tianan was satisfied and said, that's right, it's all right, then follow me to the alchemy hall first. What else can Lu Changsheng do? Had no choice but to follow. Came to Dantang. Elder Dantang had already received news from Qin Tianan, and had already vacated an open space. In the center of the open space is a tripod alchemy furnace. And around the alchemy furnace, the seats are already full of students. At this moment, the eyes of the students are full of excitement. After all, it is Lu Changsheng. The head of the thatched cottage taught Yi Chubai, Hongying, and Ning Chenxin such monstrous masters. How can it be easy to teach such a monstrous character? And I heard that Lu Changsheng has also made achievements in alchemy. Even refined an elixir that can break through 100% in Qianyuan realm. Elder Dantang can't do this kind of pill. Being able to listen to the teachings of an alchemy master of this level, how can you not be excited? At this time, Qin Tianan brought Lu Changsheng here. All the students stood up, respectfully bowed to Qin Tianan, see the dean. Qin Tianan nodded, pointed to the man behind him, and said with a smile, this is the master of the thatched cottage, Lu Changsheng. Afterwards, he will explain the knowledge of alchemy to you, so listen carefully. Everyone excitedly said yes. Elder Dantang also came over, with a smile on his old-fashioned face. Longsheng, what are you going to say? Lu Changsheng was a little speechless. How does he know what to say? I was forcibly pulled over, and I was not prepared. Now the brain is blank. Why don't I make a potion of medicine? Hearing this, Elder Dantang was taken aback. Are you trying to use actual alchemy to teach them? It's not impossible. But what the asterisk is a furnace? Isn't the pill counted by the pill? Qin Tianan retreated to the back. He also wanted to see that Lu Changsheng would teach like this. Looking at the students who were full of expectations, Lu Changsheng said, well, I know how to make alchemy now, so watch carefully and study hard. Heard that Lu Changsheng wanted to make alchemy himself. Everyone was excited. It may be the only time in my life to watch alchemy masters make alchemy at such a close distance. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng didn't say anything, thinking to himself. What do you want to practice? Usually give Yi Chubai their healing pills. Or a pill to break through the realm. But with so many people here, it is better to keep a low profile so as not to be pestered by Uncle Qin and the others. Lu Changsheng has decided, he will refine the elixir that can stabilize his mood. This should be low-key enough. Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng chuckled. Throwing the medicinal materials one by one into the alchemy furnace. Immediately, a flame swept through the alchemy furnace. The palm is constantly turning, extracting the liquid medicine in it. Elder Dantang looked at this scene. He was thinking, what kind of elixir is this? Why is the combination of medicinal materials so weird? While refining alchemy, Lu Changsheng thought that he was teaching the students, so he said symbolically, look, this is fine here. Well, then here, just do it like this and it will be done. Basically that's it, can you understand? Heard the words. The trainees are stupid. This. Who can understand this? The medicinal materials are thrown directly into the alchemy furnace. Extract the liquid medicine together. Never consider drug conflicts. This is not a question of whether you can understand or not. It is impossible to do it at all. At this moment, the students thought to themselves. Are they too weak, or senior brother Yi and the others are too monstrous? Can grow up under this teaching method. Chapter 75 I play myself. Before. Some students think that hard work can make up for lack of talent. Can now. They understand. It turns out that talent is really important. Because I don't have talent, I really don't understand what Senior Lu is doing. Actually, if you show this to Yi Chubai and the others, they probably won't understand it either. Soon, the scent of Danxiang began to spread freely throughout the academy. Among the colleges, people who are cultivating, smelling the fragrance of this medicine, actually calmed down in their hearts. Distracting thoughts are expelled. The students in Dantang also felt a burst of peace in their hearts. Even, some pill formulas and exercises that I couldn't comprehend before, all have some understanding. Elder Dantang is also refreshed. It's just medicinal fragrance, can it have such an effect? Then what level is the pill in it? Everyone looked at Lu Changsheng closely. At this moment, Lu Changsheng looked calm, and said softly, Dan Cheng. Immediately. In the alchemy furnace, the medicinal fragrance is restrained. The surrounding Danxiang was actually integrated into the Dan furnace. Lu Changsheng made a move with his palm, and immediately, one after another, pills fell into the jade bottle. The bottle belt is short, Elder, can I borrow some? Hearing this, Elder Dantang was taken aback for a moment, and subconsciously handed 5 jade bottles to Lu Changsheng. Lu Changsheng smacked his lips and said, less. Not enough. 1 jade bottle can store 5 pills. How much practice have you practiced? However, Elder Dantang gave Lu Changsheng 10 jade purification bottles again. Lu Changsheng then said, it should be enough. After finishing speaking, he tapped the pill furnace, and the pill in it instantly fell into the jade bottle. Among the astonished eyes of everyone, The 16 jade bottles were full. There was even one left. Lu Changsheng took a look at it, and threw it into his mouth without bothering to pretend. Kaba kaba. Swallowed the elixir like chewing jelly beans. Everyone was speechless after watching it. It turned out that what was said at the beginning was true. Other people's refining medicine is measured in pills. And you really use the furnace as the unit. Okay, do you understand everything? Looking at everyone, Lu Changsheng smiled and said, you must all understand, right? Elder Dantang. Student. Qin Tianan covered his face. He now doubts whether Yi Chubai and Hongying were taught by Lu Changsheng. Elder Dantang had no choice but to say, then what is the function of this elixir? Lu Changsheng thought for a while, and said, is it just to refresh your mind? I don't know the specifics. You will share one of them and try. After finishing speaking, he waved his hand and distributed pills to everyone. There are not many students in Dantang. After all, not everyone has the talent for alchemy. Elder Dantang also picked up one, looked at it suspiciously, and swallowed it. All the students were ecstatic when they saw this. After all, how can the alchemy master Lu Changsheng make so mediocre? When everyone takes it, all closed their eyes. Sat cross-legged on the ground. For a long time, no extra breath came out. Seeing this, Lu Changsheng heaved a sigh of relief, and thought to himself, HMPH, as long as they think this elixir is useless, they won't come to me in the future. Thinking of this, Lu Changsheng looked at Qin Tianan, spread his hands and said, I told you not to look for me, look at the broken alchemy I made, it's useless at all. Qin Tianan was about to say something. Suddenly, a breath burst out from among the students. Someone broke through. Breakthrough from Jindan realm to Purple Mansion realm. Lu Changsheng. Isn't it just a elixir for purifying the heart and nourishing the mind, why did it break through? Lu Changsheng hurriedly looked at Qin Tianan, and explained, Uncle Qin, this is definitely an accident. Qin Tianan. But at this moment, another person stood up and said in surprise, I know how to make this elixir. Immediately, he walked up to Lu Changsheng, bowed respectfully, and said solemnly, thank you, Senior Lu. I have been unable to successfully refine that elixir. Now, my thinking is suddenly clear. Lu Changsheng. Not so much, brother. It's just an elixir for calming the nerves, how come you have a clear mind? And a clear thinking will make alchemy. At this time, in the square, a soul force suddenly rose up. The soul power that was originally weak has now begun to become solid. Soul power is a must for an alchemist. The strength of the soul power can directly affect the success rate and quality of the alchemist when alchemy. Originally, there were few ways to cultivate soul power. Even in the Tibetan Taoist Academy, only Dantang has it. And there are even fewer natural treasures to enhance the power of the soul. Thank you, Senior Lu. The student who broke through with soul power paid respectful respect to Lu Changsheng, his eyes were full of reverence. Lu Changsheng. Am I being acted by myself? And at this moment, Elder Dantang also opened his eyes and exhaled a turbid breath. There was a gentle smile on that old-fashioned face. Longevity, your elixir is really miraculous. I have been studying the elixirs for many years, but I have never succeeded. I had already given up, but now I thought of a solution. By the way, what is the name of this elixir? Lu Changsheng. At this time, the surrounding students also woke up from their enlightenment one after another. Everyone has gained more or less. Thank you Lu Changsheng constantly. Lu Changsheng looked up at the sky. His eyes turned black for a while. It's over. My retirement life. In this way, he was buried in his own hands. No. In the end, it's Yi Chubai, that bastard. If he hadn't sold out his teacher, he would have let me refine that poten. If you don't practice Na Po Dan, what will happen today? Lu Changsheng can't wait to throw that kid directly into the Jiuyou Wenquan formation. Send him to the west. At this moment, Yi Chubai, who was far away in the central region, yawned again. Could it be that master is thinking about my cooking? Hey, it's better to finish the things here earlier and return to the teacher's gate earlier. If Yi Chubai knew what Lu Changsheng was thinking now. Probably escaped from the division overnight. At this moment, Qin Tianan stepped forward. He patted Lu Changsheng on the shoulder kindly, and said with a smile, Changsheng, I thought the way you taught was not suitable for them. It turns out that you thought a long time ago that they might not understand, so you directly refined this elixir to help them solve their daily problems. Lu Changsheng's eyes were dull. Ha, ha ha, ha ha ha. Qin Tianan grabbed Lu Changsheng's shoulder and flew away. Let's go, follow me to the sword hall. Hearing this, Lu Changsheng thought to himself, there is still a chance. I will teach you blindly later. Just teach one to be scrapped. Destroy your reputation. Subscribe to Chinese Novel Audiobook YouTube channel. Chapter 76 Blame Yi Chubai, that bastard. Jiantang. Because of the existence of Yi Chubai, almost everyone has regarded Lu Changsheng as the strongest sword cultivator in Tibetan Taoist Academy. It can teach sword masters like Yi Chubai. Make it so young to comprehend the sword intent. Yi Chubai even led the southern region Tibetan Taoist Academy, and won the first place in the exchange of the 4 regions. Successfully helped Qin Tianan keep the position of dean. All kinds of glory. Make them feel. Lu Changsheng is really awesome. At this moment, Xin Hongyi was also among the crowd. She wanted to see how Lu Changsheng taught Yi Chubai. At this moment, Qin Tianan brought Yi Chubai to the sword hall. Similarly, the students in the Jiantang also showed reverence in their eyes. The elders of the Jiantang were also on the side, obviously wanting to see how Lu Changsheng taught Yi Chubai. Lu Changsheng sneered when he saw this. Wouldn't it be good to just play a set of sword skills at that time? Qin Tianan said, okay, let's get started, hurry up, there is still the Confucian Academy to go. Lu Changsheng was a little helpless. Really regarded him as the donkey of the production team. Under the gaze of the students, Lu Changsheng picked up a branch casually. Stab forward violently. Immediately, a horizontal chop. Another vertical cut. Seeing that Lu Changsheng didn't speak, but played swordsmanship, everyone couldn't help being a little puzzled. Besides, isn't this set of swordsmanship the basic swordsmanship? The elders of the Jiantang are also a little doubtful. What is Lu Changsheng doing? At this moment, Lu Changsheng on the high platform squinted at the doubts of everyone, and couldn't help but feel happy. It worked. Unable to help, he repeated the basic sword technique again and again. One stab. A horizontal cut. Under the stage, Xin Hongyi watched this scene thoughtfully. How could it be possible to teach a monster like Yi Chubai just to use basic swordsmanship? Which naturally has a deep meaning. It's just that they haven't discovered it yet. Xin Hongyi took out a long sword and used basic sword skills on the spot. Whatever Lu Changsheng does, she does. Gradually, Xin Hongyi was immersed in basic swordsmanship. She is no longer obsessed with what Lu Changsheng is doing, but immersed in her own swordsmanship. Basic swordsmanship. It is the practice that every sword repairer starts from the moment he comes into contact with the sword. It's just that, after some small successes, everyone abandoned the basic swordsmanship. This is also normal. This set of swordsmanship is nothing more than the way of making moves. It is not as gorgeous and powerful as other sword techniques. Why do you want to practice basic swordsmanship? Isn't that a brain hole? However, now Xin Hongyi seems to have grasped something. Basic swordsmanship. Base. The road to martial arts, what is the most important thing? Is Daoji. The foundation of the road is unstable, and the road ahead is destined to be impossible to go far. Xin Hongyi understands. She understood Lu Changsheng's intentions. Suddenly, from Xin Hongyi's body, a gust of sword energy surged out. Everyone looked at Xin Hongyi in amazement. The elders of Jiantang and Qin Tianan were also attracted to them. Lu Changsheng also had a bad feeling. I can't. And at this time, there was a sense of sharpness in the gushing sword energy. Sword intent. The elder of Jiantang stood up suddenly, and said in surprise, you have actually touched the threshold of sword intent. Everyone was also amazed. Xin Hongyi touched the threshold of sword intent while performing basic sword skills. Lu Changsheng. What did I do? What did I do? Just swipe a branch a few times, and someone the breaks through again. Xin Hongyi woke up from an epiphany at this time, and bowed to Lu Changsheng. Thank you for your guidance, Senior Lu. Lu Changsheng. What did I guide? Can you tell me no? Can I change it? The elder of Jiantang looked at Xin Hongyi and said, Xin Hongyi, tell me about the insights you have gained. Xin Hongyi nodded and began to explain. Express the feelings in your heart. And the understanding of basic swordsmanship, I said it again. After hearing this, everyone couldn't help thinking. Even the elders of the Jiantang began to reflect. Yes. Base is the origin of all swordsmanship. All sword techniques are extended from basic sword techniques. But the power of swordsmanship, in the final analysis, still lies in oneself. Not relying on fancy swordsmanship. The elders of the Jiantang sit cross-legged. Sword intent makes another breakthrough. Sword intent has reached the level of a great sword master. And the rest of the disciples. Either the realm has improved, or the sword energy has become more solid. Everyone has gained more or less. Lu Changsheng stared blankly at this scene, not knowing what to say. At this time, Qin Tianan grabbed Lu Changsheng's shoulder and said, "Okay, it's time to go to the Confucian Academy." "Can I not go?" "Why don't you go? Look at how well you teach." Quote. Comma. Then, another period of time passed. The sun is near sunset. In the direction of the Confucian Academy, dozens of auras exploded again. Looking at this scene, Lu Changsheng had already given up. Anyway, these people can break through whatever they do. It seems to be a self-guided strategy. The elder of the Confucian president patted Lu Changsheng on the shoulder kindly, and said with a smile, "Changsheng, you are born to be a master, and you will come to give lectures to the students more in the future." Lu Changsheng. Qin Tianan echoed from the side, "There are also Jiantang and Dantang, so we should go more." Lu Changsheng. At this moment, a burly figure hurried over. "Nephew of Changsheng. Be sure to go to my martial arts hall to teach. We haven't been to the martial arts hall yet." Is the elder of Wutang. Obviously, he also got the news. Envious eyes are turning red. Lu Changsheng said. "If I am wrong, please use the law to punish me. Instead of torturing me this way. My salted fish life is probably gone forever." The name of Lu Changsheng once again spread throughout the southern region. "I'm afraid, until the next enrollment, the door of the thatched cottage will be broken down by various forces. And all of this is due to that Yi Chubai." 3 days later. Medium domain. During these 3 days, Yi Chubai kept going to the land of 100 refinements. Continuously fight with monsters in it. Battle skills, swordsmanship comprehension are all improved. Even the ranking is 1 place higher, reaching the 8th place. Everyone clicked their tongues. In 3 days, it has risen to another rank. This kind of speed, no one would dare to imagine normally. After all, the person on this stele has not been replaced for several years. This day, Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian walked out of the land of 100 refinements. A figure suddenly stood in front of Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai raised his eyebrows, nodded and said, "Is there something wrong?" The man grinned and said, "It's not a big deal, I just want to discuss with you." Hearing this, Yi Chubai was slightly surprised. Someone said, "It's Huang Zhengzhan, who was ranked 8th before." Emperor Conquest. Surname Huang. Chapter 77 Life and Death on Yanyan Platform. Emperor Conquest. Yi Chubai's first thought was that. What is his relationship with the Sunset Dynasty? Jian Chaomian seems to know Huang Zhengzhan, he is also from the Northern Territory after all. Huang Zhengzhan, the first pride of the Sunset Dynasty, but he doesn't like political affairs, and focuses on martial arts. Relying on my own strength and talent, I joined the main academy of the Tibetan Taoist Academy. Yi Chubai nodded slightly. Huang Zhengzhan looked at Yi Chubai and said, "I heard Tianming tell you about you. Although I have no enmity with you, after all, the Sunset Dynasty is my home. So, a war." After hearing this, Yi Chubai did not refuse. After all, it is better to solve troublesome things at once. Where? Huang Zhengzhan nodded and said, "The academy has a place for people to solve their hatred, come with me." After finishing speaking, he turned and walked away. Yi Chubai and Jian Chaomian followed. As everyone watched this scene, there was a commotion. Huang Zhengzhan wants to challenge Yi Chubai. It seems that there is a grudge. I don't know if Yi Chubai is Huang Zheng's opponent. Someone shook his head and said, "Of course not. Huang Zhengzhan is now in the half-step Qianyuan realm, and he can step into the Qianyuan realm with just 1 step. And Yi Chubai is only in the mid-stage Qihai realm, how could he be an opponent?" Although Yi Chubai's ranking is now higher than Huang Zhengzhan's, but what about martial arts and combat experience? You know, Huang Zhengzhan is a famous fighting maniac. In this regard, the people in the General Academy of Tibetan Taoism Academy have the capital of pride. Gongfa in martial arts, the Southern Territory really cannot be compared with the Central Territory. What's more, there are 3 major trials. The people in the General Academy temper themselves in it all the time, and naturally have more combat experience than the people in the other 4 domains. Academy in order to solve the hatred among students. Yanyantai was specially set up. On this, you can set up your own rules. Can be disabled or even life-threatening. On this, life and death matter. Therefore, few people actually go up Yanyan Terrace. After all, in the land of the academy, there are not many conflicts of interest. Yanyan Terrace has not reopened for several years. Now, someone has applied for Yanyan Terrace, which naturally makes the people in the academy very interested, and they all rush here. Even Shisheng and Zhonghe heard the news and rushed here to join Yi Chubai. Shisheng said solemnly, "Brother Yi, the emperor's battle is not easy." Zhonghe also echoed, "Although he is ranked 8th in the land of 100 refinements, he is indeed ranked 5th in the land of body refinement. The physical body is probably stronger than me and Shisheng. Both of them are cultivators. One is born with divine power, and the other has cultivated the Buddhist Vajra body. The physical body is not weak. Now, they all say that they are not as good as the emperor, so naturally they have a reason." Jian Chaomian did not speak. With Yi Chubai's strength, Huang Zhengzhan is probably not an opponent. He is a sword cultivator. Only a sword cultivator understands what a great sword master really is. Yi Chubai smiled and said, "It's fine, don't worry. There must be a battle between him and Huang Zhengzhan, it's just a matter of time." After all, his hatred with the Sunset Dynasty has long been endless. Either he dies, or I die. At this time, Huang Zhengzhan jumped up, stood on the Yanyan Terrace, looked down at Yi Chubai, and said indifferently, "Come on." Seeing this, Yi Chubai also jumped up. "Although I am much higher than your realm, I will not hold back." Huang Zhengzhan showed a chilling expression on his face, and a fighting spirit soared into the sky. Fighting heart, form the meaning of fighting. This battle is about life and death, how dare you? The people in the audience felt the fighting spirit, and their faces turned cold. The emperor's fighting spirit seems to have improved again. Well, his fighting spirit came from entering Chudao Mountain, and now he is constantly honing himself in the land of hundreds of exercises, so he is naturally stronger. That leaf is Chubai, it's probably more ominous. Behind the crowd, a man with long robes and short hair quietly appeared, watching this scene with interest on his face. On the other side of the crowd, there was a burly man with his arms folded, watching coldly. At this moment, above Yanyan Terrace, some elders also came here. They are the law enforcement elders of Yanyantai. Use this to ensure order. On stage, the opposite of the emperor's campaign. Yi Chubai took out the dark demon sword and looked at the emperor to fight, but he didn't show timidity because of the majestic battle. Death to death. Seeing this, Huang Zhengzhan clashed his fists. Make a loud noise. Immediately, with a sudden step and a deep drink, his body rushed towards Yi Chubai like a cannonball. There were bursts of sonic booms in the space. Yi Chubai's hair was blown flying in all directions, a great sense of oppression came oncoming. It's like Mount Tai is overwhelming. I want Yi Chubai to kneel down. Seeing this, Yi Chubai didn't take a step back, his waist was still as straight as a sword. The dark demon in the hand, the monstrous demonic energy ascended to the sky, and the sword intent turned into a river of swords, sweeping towards the emperor's battle. Everyone watching this scene was also shocked. The rumors are true, this person has really comprehended the sword intent, and his level is not low. He hasn't entered Chudao Mountain before, and his sword intent has reached such a level. He is really a genius. In the middle domain, they only recognize the strong. If you are strong, you will be able to gain their approval. Even the elders on Yanyan Terrace had different expressions. No wonder the dean asked them to pay attention to this son. When the man in the robe saw this scene, he was also slightly surprised. The burly man even grinned. It's interesting. The emperor has no intention of retreating from the battle. The fighting spirit is full of enthusiasm. Wrapped his body like a golden armor, with terrifying momentum, he crashed directly into the monstrous river of swords. He actually ignored the sharpness of the sword intent and directly entered it. In the long river of sword intent, the water flow is like a thin and deadly long sword, piercing Huang Zhengzhan's body. And all of this did not pierce Huang Zhengzhan's defense, but left white marks one after another on his skin. Yi Chubai was not surprised when he saw this. After all, his physical body is extremely strong, and he has a fighting spirit. At the same time, his realm is so much higher than him. If it is defeated like this, it is obviously unlikely. Yi Chubai pointed at the sky, and the sword intent full of magic energy merged into the long river of sword intent. For a moment, the river of sword intent turned black. A wave of demonic energy continued to rise. To make people surrender. At this moment, Yi Chubai is like a sword demon. And in the long river of sword intent. Huang Zhengzhan also frowned. This devilish energy actually made his mind tremble. Looking at the entire academy, even if he can't win, who can make him feel this feeling? Thinking of this, Huang Zhengzhan roared. The fighting spirit is even stronger. It actually emitted a dazzling golden light, and a majestic aura turned into palm prints, grasping Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai saw this, and the dark demon sword came out. The sixth sword of the heavenly demon, 9 swords. Do not avoid, do not give in, cut through that palm print with one sword. Chapter 78 Burning Blood Magic Art. 9 swords of heavenly demon. Now Yi Chubai can make the sixth sword at will. After all, these days, Yi Chubai's strength has not improved a bit. Huang Zhengzhan was also surprised when he saw this scene. If it is an ordinary person in the Qixi realm, under that palm print, it must have been crushed into slag. But Yi Chubai was not only not defeated, but even cut through with a single sword. Now, Huang Zhengzhan finally understands Huang Tianming's worries. Why do you want to get rid of Yi Chubai so eagerly? In the long river of sword intent, Huang Zhengzhan roared and stepped out of it. Fist raised, fighting spirit covered it. Breaking heaven. Obviously, Huang Zhengzhan has no intention of holding back. Half a step of Qianyuan's breath burst out. The fighting spirit even crushed Yi Chubai. The air machine completely locked Yi Chubai, making it impossible for him to retreat. As for Yi Chubai, he never thought of retreating. The dark magic sword in his hand slashed forward. There is no flashy sword glow, nor fancy swordsmanship. Just a simple cut. But this cut contained Yi Chubai's swordsmanship. From the road to simplicity. This sword is the 7th sword of the heavenly demon, 9 swords. And this 7th sword is called Molin. It has the meaning of the coming of the demon god. The demonic energy is monstrous. Like a demon descending into the world. The people around Yanyan Terrace were all shocked. A sense of surrender from the soul keeps rising. Is this a sword skill that people in the Sea of Air can display? This level of sword skill is probably a heaven-level sword skill. Sword skills of the sky rank are extremely rare even in their main academy. Looking at the entire central region, I am afraid there are not many. And most of them are fragments. Even the boxing that Huang Zhengzhan uses now is the low-level boxing in the Tibetan Taoist Academy. And it took a lot of points to get it. Huang Zhengzhan was obviously taken aback. Under this sword, he actually had an extremely strong sense of crisis. He was forced to this point by a person in the Qixi realm. However, he can't retreat now. The Qi machines of the two are locked to each other, and there is no way to back down. If you step back at this time, you will only become a chopping board fish, waiting to die. Huang Zhengzhan certainly understood this, so he roared angrily. Fighting spirit screaming. Fist smashed down. It seems to have the potential to break the sky. The space let out an unbearable scream, and there was a faint sense of rupture. Yi Chubai's expression was indifferent, and the dark demon was cut out in his hand. Collide with Huang Zhengzhan's fists. Under everyone's amazed eyes. An explosion-like aftermath spread towards the surroundings. The elders above Yanyan Terrace were shocked when they saw this, and waved a barrier to cover Yanyan Terrace. The aftermath was surging. Ripples set off one after another on the enchantment. When everyone saw this, they were even more surprised. The power of the two fighting is so great. And that Yi Chubai still came from the southern region. A place where martial arts are decadent. To be able to fight the emperor to such an extent. Obviously, Yi Chubai's talent is not weaker than theirs, even worse. On the other hand, look at Yan Yuntai. Yi Chubai's hand holding the sword felt waves of great force at this moment. This physical strength is extremely terrifying. It is not at the same level as the people in the southern region. And this fighting spirit kept pressing down on his mind. Looking back at the emperor's battle, it was also extremely uncomfortable. It was extremely reluctant to resort to breaking the sky. After all, he hasn't fully understood this earth-level martial skill yet. And Yi Chubai's sword rushed directly into his arm with a sword intent. Crazy destruction of his body. Just a touch, there was a slight crack on the arm. How powerful is the physical body of Huang Zan? He is also very aware of his physical strength. Even so, Yi Chubai's sword broke through the defense. Under the terrified eyes of everyone. That arm was bursting out with streaks of blood. Huang Zhengzhan let out a muffled grunt, and stormed out. Escaped from Yi Chubai's attack. Yi Chubai also took 2 steps back, his face flushed slightly. Obviously, Huang Zhengzhan's punch also affected him, but it wasn't a big problem. Under this blow, Yi Chubai has a complete advantage. Using Qi Si realm to suppress Qian Yuan for half a step, the physically invincible Huang Zhengzhan. I believe even if he is said to be the pride of the hidden sword. I don't know whether he is stronger or weaker than those group of sword cultivators. At the back, the man in the robe saw this scene and smiled slightly. It's interesting. Then, he turned and left. After all, in his heart, the outcome has already been decided, so there is no need to watch it any further. The same is true of the strong man. On the Yanyan platform, Huang Zhengzhan's expression was cloudy and unpredictable. I know why Tianming is so worried, you are indeed a future trouble. If you are not removed, when you grow up, I am afraid that you can really threaten the Sunset Dynasty. For the sake of the dynasty, I will also keep you on Yanyan Terrace. After speaking, Huang Zhengzhan's body began to turn red slowly. Like overcooked shrimp. In the eyes, streaks of blood began to pervade. Slowly, it filled the entire eyeball. Among the monstrous fighting spirit, at this moment there is actually blood rising up. It is extremely viscous, as if it has become blood. Someone exclaimed. Burning blood magic art. Huang Zhengzhan was forced to this point. Beside, Shisheng was taken aback, and asked, what is the burning blood devil art? Someone replied subconsciously. Burning blood magic art is a secret method of the earth, which burns essence and blood to achieve the goal of extremely increasing physical strength. Under the state of burning blood magic art, the strength of the physical body is at least twice as strong. Hearing this, Shisheng and Zhonghe's expressions changed drastically. If a body of this strength is twice as strong, how strong will it be? They dare not imagine. Jian Chaomian's face gradually became serious. The man continued to explain in a deep voice. However, although it is strong, it also has side effects. In the state of burning blood demon art, if you don't drink the enemy's blood, it will permanently damage your talent. Everyone's face changed, the consequences are not insignificant. Even the elder order on Yanyan Terrace had an ugly expression on his face. Huang Zhengzhan is the pride of the academy after all. Nowadays, it's not what they want to see at this level. Yi Chubai looked at this scene, slightly startled. At this moment, Huang Zhengzhan's strength is already able to surpass Qianyuan realm powerhouses. The sense of coercion also multiplied. On the other hand, look at the emperor's campaign. Constantly panting. Even the spit-out gas is blood red. The whole person swelled up. Everywhere in the body, there are blue veins surging. Looking at Yi Chubai, Huang Zhengzhan said in a muffled voice, next, I will completely smash you to death under my fist. Just finished speaking, Huang Zhengzhan's body instantly disappeared in place. Yi Chubai didn't dare to neglect, he let out a low drink, and a white breath surrounded Yi Chubai. Actually has the meaning of endless life. This is the Sword Sutra of Taichu. Chapter 79 Taichu Sword Classic, Ping Shan. In the Sword Sutra of Taichu. It has the meaning of endless life. Now, Huang Zhengzhan uses the burning blood magic art, and his strength has been increased several times, comparable to Qianyuan realm. Although, Yi Chubai has killed the strong in the martial arts list of the 4 regions. But after all, foreign objects were used. And surprise. Now, Yi Chubai doesn't know whether he is an opponent or not. But he wants to try. Seeing Yi Chubai's body full of fighting spirit, his eyes are even more determined. Huang Zhengzhan couldn't help being stunned for a moment, and then a stream of blood rushed to his head, washing his sanity, and he was furious. This is also a side effect of the burning blood magic art. Once left unchecked and not suppressed, the spellcaster will be overwhelmed by the monstrous killing intent and become a machine that can only kill. It can be said that Huang Zhengzhan did not hesitate to kill Yi Chubai here. After all, this talent is too terrifying. If it is not killed in the cradle, the Sunset Dynasty will fall into ruin. So far, Huang Zhengzhan dare not have any reservations, even at the expense of damaging his Dao foundation. At this moment, Huang Zhengzhan approached him. That veiny fist slammed down. Yi Chubai didn't retreat or evade, raised his sword and slashed away. The black magic energy on the sword has completely disappeared at this moment. In turn, there is an endless energy. Absolute beginning sword meridian is running crazily in the body. Seeing Yi Chubai preparing to receive the blow head-on, everyone under Yan Yun's stage was astonished. Sword and fist collide. Yi Chubai did not destroy people with his sword as everyone imagined. The meaning of endless life on the sword seemed to turn into a sword net, enveloping Huang Zhengzhan's fists layer by layer. Make it impossible to break through. Seeing this, Huang Zhengzhan also hesitated slightly. Yi Chubai was able to receive his punch. You must know that Huang Zhengzhan, who uses the burning blood magic art, already has the strength of Qianyuan realm. Immediately after, Huang Zhengzhan let out a terrifying roar. The roar turned into substance, forming a ***** sound wave, sweeping towards Yi Chubai. Yi Chubai stepped back quickly, and slashed out with a sword. Pingshan River. This is the sword skill recorded in the Sword Sutra of Taichu. It is also the only sword skill that Yi Chubai can display now. Sword intent whistling. Sword chi vertical and horizontal. That sword light, carrying the power of calming mountains and rivers, cut straight at that ***** sound wave. Cheap. Just moments. The blood-colored sound wave collapsed directly. The sword glows non-stop, and then cuts to fight against the emperor. Seeing this, Huang Zhengzhan let out an angry shout, and stomped the ground. Yan Yuntai actually shook violently at this moment. If it was just an ordinary competition arena, I am afraid that it would collapse at this moment. Immediately, Huang Zhengzhan's body was like a cannonball, facing the sword glow head-on. Now that he is using the burning blood magic art, he has already lost his mind. There are only, must tear the enemy in front of you. Eat its flesh, drink its blood. The sword light was getting closer and closer, and Huang Zhengzhan's fist was also covered with blood light at this moment, like being entangled with spider silk. Roar. An infinitely beast-like roar came out of Huang Zhengzhan's mouth. Punch out. Like a wild beast, it smashed heavily on the sword light. Zhanmang trembled violently at this moment. However, Huang Zhengzhan's arms are covered by endless sword intent. The sword intent was like a sharp long sword, cutting on Huang Zhengzhan's arm. Puff. Streams of blood kept pouring out. Huang Zhengzhan let out a muffled grunt, and stepped back. But at this time, Yi Chubai had disappeared in place, turned into a ray of sword light, and chased after the retreating Huang Zhengzhan. Take advantage of his illness to kill him. Yanyantai, life and death. Facing an enemy, how could Yi Chubai hold back? When the opponent is weakest, kill him directly, without leaving any trouble. This is the most correct choice. As for the chivalrous demeanor, what do you want that thing for? The enmity between life and death has been forged. You die and I die. Facing this kind of person, Yi Chubai will not be like this. Huang Zhengzhan also saw Yi Chubai rushing towards him at this moment. The eyes are covered with blood, and now, the 7 orifices are dripping with blood. Like a ghost crawling out of hell. Huang Zhengzhan stepped into the ground, forcing his backward figure to stop. Immediately, both fists were clenched together, and they punched Yi Chubai from top to bottom. Seeing this, Yi Chubai let out a cold snort, his figure fluttered for a while, and his fists landed on the ground slightly to one side. At this time, Yi Chubai saw the right opportunity and slashed out with a sword. Huang Zhengzhan was overwhelmed and retreated quickly, but his hand was still cut off by the sharp sword intent. The arm fell to the ground. Yi Chubai didn't even look at it, he slashed out with his sword, and the severed arm was twisted into powder. Immediately, the dark demonic energy covered, and Yi Chubai shouted, "The devil is coming." The seventh sword. The slash that covered the magic energy and sword intent suddenly slashed out. At this moment, the Emperor's campaign has been unable to fight back. The side effects of the burning blood magic art have already begun to appear. Obviously, with his current strength, it is not enough to control it for too long. Feng Kai was also seriously injured by Yi Chubai. Now he can only watch the slash land on his body. At this moment, Huang Zhengzhan has recovered from the bloodthirsty state, and saw the slash that was infinitely close to him. A wry smile appeared. He really didn't expect that he would be defeated so embarrassingly by Yi Chubai's hands. It never occurred to Huang Tianming why he wanted to provoke such a troublesome person for the Sunset Dynasty, and why he hadn't got rid of him in time. But it's useless to think so much. Huang Zhengzhan has resigned to his fate and closed his eyes. Yi Chubai also stopped, watching this scene indifferently. The people below looked at this scene, and they were also extremely surprised. Huang Zhengzhan is not his opponent. It's a pity, the name of the Emperor's conquest will be removed from the list from now on. Fighting at the Qihai realm and Qianyuan realm, and beheading him, this kid has extraordinary talent. However, when everyone was discussing, a figure forcibly broke through the barrier on Yanyan Terrace and came to Huang Zhengzhan. Immediately pointed out. The black slash directly collapsed at this moment. Dissipated between heaven and earth. Yi Chubai's pupils shrunk. Everyone was taken aback when they saw this. He is the head of the Law Enforcement Hall. I heard that Huang Zhengzhan is the apprentice of the master of the Law Enforcement Hall. Huang Zhengzhan was also slightly surprised, and then said weakly, "Thank you, master." The head of the Law Enforcement Hall saw this and nodded slightly. Then he looked at Yi Chubai and said, "Let's stop here." Yi Chubai frowned slightly, not afraid of his identity, and said coldly, "It seems that the rules of Yanyantai do not allow others to intervene, right?" Seeing Yi Chubai refute him, the master of law enforcement became more cold in his eyes, and said, "That's enough, his Dao foundation has already been damaged. Then if he wants to kill me, you will also help me, is that enough?" The head of the law enforcement hall seemed to have lost his patience, snorted coldly, and swung out his palm. Chapter 80. You are destined to Buddha. In the eyes of the head of the law enforcement hall, Yi Chubai is just a student of the southern region branch. So what if he is arrogant again? In his life, how many Tianzhao has he seen fall? What's more, Huang Zhengzhan is his disciple, so he naturally wants to protect his shortcomings. It is impossible to watch him die at the hands of others. The move of the head of the law enforcement hall also caught everyone by surprise. Yanyantai is a place to resolve hatred and fight for life and death. It is a place supervised by law enforcement hall. As the head of the law enforcement hall, it is a big taboo to be so biased. Yi Chubai's eyes also turned cold, and he struck out with a sword. This sword directly used Ping Shan. The Sword Sutra of Taichu is fully released. Sword intent crosses the sky. After all, the other party is a genuine Qianyuan realm expert. He is also the one on the 4 regions martial arts list. Yi Chubai did not dare to underestimate him. However, even so, the sword glow was still shattered by that palm print, and landed directly on Yi Chubai's body. Puff! Spit out a mouthful of blood and fly out backwards. Obviously, if Qingyun sword is not used, it is still too reluctant to fight against the strong players on the 4 regions martial arts list. The head of the law enforcement hall is still ranked 21st in the 4 regions martial arts ranking. Yi Chubai looked coldly at the head of the law enforcement hall, and said with a sneer, "This is the law enforcement hall. The rules can be broken if you want to, and what kind of law enforcement hall is set up?" Hearing this, everyone gasped. Although he was not convinced, he would choose to hold back his breath in the face of such a powerful law enforcement hall master, who is also a strong player in the 4 regions martial arts list. But Yi Chubai doesn't seem to have any worries at all. If you want to say something, you say it. The head of the law enforcement hall heard this, frowned, and slapped again. Although killing Yi Chubai here would be bad for his reputation. However, it will be fine after a while. After all, in this world, the strong are respected. Rules. That was founded by the strong. It is also broken by the strong. Seeing this, Yi Chubai's eyes turned hard, and he wanted to pull out Qingyun sword again. It was at this moment. A sword light came from the sky. Came to Yi Chubai. Immediately, a finger stuck out. Refers to strengthening sword energy. Directly crush that palm print. The head of the law enforcement hall looked at the person in front of Yi Chubai, his eyes fixed. Jian Chaomian was even more pleasantly surprised. Master. The person who came was none other than the #1 sword cultivator in the Northern Territory, the Supreme Elder of the Tibetan Taoist Academy in the Northern Territory, Dinghai Shenzhen. Similarly, Yunjing ranked 6th in the 4 regions martial arts list. Is a swordsman. Now Yi Chubai is a great swordsman, and above the great swordsman is Zhangzong. Above the sword sect, Fang is the sword master. Yunjing. You don't sit in the academy in the Northern Territory, what are you doing in the Central Territory? The head of the law enforcement hall narrowed his eyes slightly, and his tone was full of dissatisfaction. Yun Jing looked expressionless, looked at the head of the law enforcement hall, and said coldly, Zhou Shizhong, it seems that your character is still unchanged. Being so arrogant will bring disaster to the Tibetan Taoist Academy sooner or later. Zhou Shizhong sneered and said, What? You want to protect him? What crime has he committed? Yun Jing asked back, the rules on the Yanyan platform were set by your law enforcement hall, but now you want to break it with your own hands. Zhou Shizhong, aren't you afraid that my Tibetan Taoist Academy's first ever Qing name will be abandoned by outsiders? Yunjing's words are heartbreaking. Zhou Shizhong's face was extremely ugly, but there was nothing he could do. After all, Yunjing's strength far exceeds him. His status is far from being comparable to that of a master of law enforcement. Yun Jing looked back at Yi Chubai, and said, You can do whatever you want. The sword of a sword repairer cannot be bent, and the heart of a sword repairer cannot be blocked. Yunjing saw Yi Chubai's talent. In Yunjing's view, he has a chance to become a juggernaut. You know, in this world, there has been no juggernaut for tens of thousands of years. He wanted to witness the birth of the juggernaut. Yi Chubai nodded and looked at Huang Zhengzhan. Immediately, he drew out the dark demon sword and walked towards him step by step. Each step, the power of the sword will continue to increase with the pace. The momentum is getting stronger and stronger at this moment. Huang Zhengzhan watched this scene and knew that Yi Chubai would definitely come and kill him. Can't help but look at Zhou Shizhong in front of him. Zhou Shizhong's face was ugly, he looked at Yi Chubai, and said ruthlessly, Do you really want to do everything right? Hearing this, Yi Chubai didn't reply. The breath is still increasing rapidly. Seeing this, Zhou Shizhong had no choice but to take a step forward, ready to make a move. However, at this moment, Yun Jing also came to Zhou Shizhong, pointing at his forehead. The cloud seen at this moment, the face is like ice, and the voice is like Jiuyou, which makes people feel cold and afraid. If you dare to move, Zhou Shizhong, I don't mind beheading you on the spot, and clean up the black sheep for the Tibetan Taoist Academy. Zhang Taoist Academy is originally the responsibility of preaching and teaching. There are many rules set up. If the rules of Yanyantai were broken at will, wouldn't the students question the academy? Once a college is not trusted by its own students, how can it preach to the world? If you don't sweep a house, how can you sweep the world? Zhou Shizhong's actions undoubtedly touched Yunjing's bottom line. Feeling the killing intent in Yun Jing's eyes, Zhou Shizhong believed that as long as he dared to move, the sword sect in front of him would kill him without hesitation. So, he could only helplessly watch Yi Chubai step by step towards the imperial conquest. At this moment, Huang Zhengzhan was already unable to move due to the side effects of the burning blood demon art. Seeing Yi Chubai approaching with a sword, he just wanted to say something. But he also shut his mouth. Now he knows that what he says is useless. After all, the two are opposites. The two sides are in an endless situation. I had to close my eyes. Yi Chubai walked up to Huang Zhengzhan with a monstrous sword intent, and slashed down with his sword. Without any hesitation. Directly pierced through the eyebrows of Huang Zhengzhan. No breath at all. The emperor fights, dies. Zhou Shizhong looked at this scene with an extremely ugly face, snorted coldly, and flew away directly. Seeing this, Yun Jing also put down his hands, looked at Yi Chubai, and said, Practice hard. After finishing speaking, he glared at Jian Chaomian. Sword facing the crown. He knew what his master's eyes meant. Look at Yi Chubai, and then at you. Unbelievable guy. At this moment, in mid-air, beside a middle-aged man, Yunjing appeared. I didn't expect you to be so optimistic about him. Yun Jing looked at the middle-aged man, nodded and said, "This son is a natural swordsman, he is the only one who can step into that realm, let alone a person from my Tibetan Taoism academy, I naturally want to protect him. However, Dean, you came here just now, right? Why didn't you stop Yi Chubai?" The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Zhou Shizhong is indeed too much, he is no longer suitable to be the head of this law enforcement hall. Moreover, the middle-aged man is even more afraid of the people behind Yi Chubai. The mysterious master. To be able to teach such disciples, what kind of person is that? Yunjing, why don't you come back to the general hospital and be the head of the law enforcement hall? Forget it, I still want to relax. You. At the same time, in a large mountain village in the southern region, Ning Chenxin was about to leave the village when a bald donkey suddenly appeared in front of him. The benefactor has a predestined relationship with my Buddha, do you want to go to Qingxin Temple with Lao Na? Thank you for watching. Continue exploring the fascinating world of Chinese novels with us. Hit that subscribe button on Chinese Novel Audiobook to stay updated with our latest stories, and never miss out on a great listen.